Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and students in front of us. At this time, I'll call to open session the meeting of the AISD Board of Trustees on April 2nd at 7:06 p.m. in the evening. I want to thank everyone for coming out this evening. We'll start our meeting with the opening ceremony. Please join Dr. Reich in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. At this time, would you please silence all cell phones and electronic devices to avoid disruptions around you? And if you would, please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. And I hope you know what's going to be first. You guys ready? Yep. They look ready. I see them. I heard them practicing before. So our first item on the agenda is a student performance tonight by the Boles Junior High Orchestra. Leading the orchestra is Jennifer Martin and Don Sibley. Whenever you guys are ready. Very impressive by these junior high students from Boles. Before you guys leave, let me, okay? Oh, sorry. Okay. Let me brag on the Boles Orchestra for just a little bit. Directed by Jennifer Martin and Don Sibley, the orchestra has a rich and vibrant legacy at Boles Junior High. This program houses 3 orchestras with over 100 students, and that's a lot at the junior high level. The orchestra has earned consistent UIL sweepstakes awards as well as Best in Class awards at contests around the Metroplex. The Symphony Orchestra just received the UIL Sweepstakes Award for the 25th year in a row, and that is receiving ones on all the standards. Boles Orchestra students have a long history of students earning seats in TEMEA, Region 5 Junior High Orchestra. The strong work ethic of parents, students, and support from the parents and community create a wonderful music experience. And the Martin High School Orchestra loves getting all these Boles Junior High Orchestra students because it continues the great heritage of wonderful orchestras through that entire network. So thank you so much to the directors. Thank you. I see Jennifer. I don't see Dawn, and thank you so much to all the parents and the students. Wonderful job. This is why we're all here this evening, so thank you so much. Awesome. Thank you guys for that great performance. I saw in their sheet music they also had a song that had zombies in it somewhere, but we didn't hear that one. We heard Dance 3. I was noticing the difference on the two. Next, we get to recognize our April 2015 Arlington School Board Student of the Month. And this month, we get to recognize from Seguin High School, Alexia Rose. Alexia, would you please come up here? Now we make you sit here for a second so we can brag about you for a couple minutes. Is that okay?
That's fine.
All right, thank you. What? You were okay. I thought you were good. Alexia is a gifted and dedicated student who's always engaged and focused. She demonstrates outstanding leadership, and she's involved in her school as well as her community, all while being a top-notch student. She's the senior class representative for Student Council. She's also in the National Honor Society, the SOAR Mentor Program, and the debate team. She plays golf and is an officer for the Seguin Orchestra as well. She's active in her church where she's a member of the Helping Hands Outreach Program. She'll attend Prairie View A&M in the fall where she'll major in chemical engineering and become a cosmetic chemist. Let me tell you, if you saw all the activities that she does right there, and then also I've talked to your golf coach earlier, so I know what you do to help the other students on there, and that's part of the reason. And then also, I think I've heard a little rumor you help out with the, right?
I was just passing. President Hogg, I was
So-
passing along earlier this evening when Seguin was coming, what a great job they have been as student ambassadors across the system, particularly I know with cheerleading and other things that we're just constantly seeing Seguin High School students reach out and network with other students and be such positive role models, not only in your school, but across all the campus. We appreciate that.
And I know the student council and everything you do that, so we thank you so much. And with all the activities, I'm just glad you found time to actually come up here so we could recognize you this evening. I'm blown away every month we recognize it. Go, seriously? Did we book them a month in advance to get them here in time? So at this time, congratulations. We're very proud of you. It's a
Thank you
distinct
so much.
honor. We only get to honor one student every month, so it's a really distinct honor. Very proud of you. Anything you'd like to say, anyone you'd like to introduce and thank for us?
Yes, first I'd like to thank God for this opportunity. Secondly, I would like to thank my family. They're all out there.
Wave family. There we go. These type of awards, make sure you wave and get, because she's is building from you guys, so thank you.
I would like to thank them for the values that they've instilled in me that I thrive on today. I would like to thank Mr. and Mrs. Coach Croft. They're out there, especially Mrs. Coach Croft. She's very dependable. Every time I need something, she's always there, listening to all my crazy, wild ideas, and she's always there for me. And last but not least, I would like to thank my principal, Mr. Nix, for also taking the time out to listen to me and my crazy ideas. And even when he doesn't have the time, he always makes the time for me. So
Perfect. Very proud. Coach Croft, would you like to come up here and say a few words? Yes. You sure?
I'm sure.
Okay.
She's an amazing girl.
Okay.
We're really taking a loss with her
Well,
leaving this year.
she's leaving, but it's Prairie View A&M's game. We're very proud of you, and you'll continue that AISD spirit and the Seguin name and the Seguin Nation
Yes.
carries on down there. I know how it works down there. So thank you so much. We're very proud if you would. Is Sam in here? Oh, there he is. Sam? I'll call you up. I know Coach Croft might not say anything, but I know you will. Mr. Nix, a few words about Miss Rose.
President Hogg, Superintendent, School Board, thank you. And may I say, Mr. Hibbs, you look quite dashing this evening.
Bow tie brothers right there. Goodness.
Just one second. Alexia mentioned the word crazy ideas. And she often comes in, they're not crazy. She has an unlimited mind. And so there's no limit to what she wants to do, how she wants to get students involved, and how she wants to get the community involved. And so she always comes in and she says, this is how we can get the community involved. This is how we can get kids involved. This is how we can do. All we need is your approval. Will you sign here? Wait a minute, Lex. You know, hold on, wait a minute.
Exactly what he said.
But the last time she was in my office, she said to me, and this is a quote. If I miss it, just kick me.
Okay.
All right. She said, you know, I was thinking to myself the other day, Mr. Nix probably is tired of me always coming in here with these ideas. But we have work to do. I've got to be an example for these students. We've got to get these students involved, and we've got to get this community involved. So I'm going to keep on coming, Mr. Nix, so you just get ready. And that was that. So Alexia Rose.
Miss Rose, very well deserved. We're very proud of
Thank you
you.
so
And
much.
even though you're graduating, we're losing you, we're glad, because you're graduating one of those students that we love to see graduate and move on and continue on with an outstanding tradition. And with chemical engineering, we need to know her. My wife will be buying cosmetics from whatever you design eventually. So at that, if you would, please, Dr. Vassos and I'll come down and show a token of our appreciation.
All right. Thank you so much.
Alexia, on behalf of the board, we give out pins. You can do whatever you want with it. Put it on your pin, put it on your badge, wear it every single day, or put it on your bag, whatever you like. So it's a distinct honor. Let's get a picture real quick. Congratulations. I love Student of the Months. Up next, we'll talk about our Community Engaged for Excellence Award of Appreciation. We have a wonderful group here tonight. A name that I'll say and everyone will be like, oh, how do you not know that name? Everyone knows this name. We're recognizing tonight for our Community Engaged for Excellence Award of Appreciation, Miss Persis Studio. Accepting tonight is Persis Ann Forrester. Come on. I was looking for you. I was like, where are you? Persis Ann, come up. Persis Ann, let me brag about.
It's the back view.
We'll use this camera up
Okay,
here, so you're
nice.
good. Just the audience is looking. Let me brag a little bit about your studio and what you've done for this community for so long. For the past 61 years, the Miss Persis Studio has been a cornerstone of the Arlington community. Established in 1954 by Persis Forrester, the studios have touched the lives of many performers and their families. Miss Persis Studio teaches kids, young adults, and not so young adults in a fun and safe learning environment. MPS is the Host to Dance Theater of Arlington, founded in 1980 by Persis Forrester. Dance Theater of Arlington provides dance education to children and adults, performance experience to aspiring dancers, opportunities for youth community service, access to scholarships for talented teens, and free entertainment for our citizens. Beginning in 1994, Miss Persis Studio and Dance Theater of Arlington have provided the I AM program to Arlington ISD students. The I AM philosophy is that discipline, hard work, courage, and accomplishment lead young children to develop lifelong skills that academics alone cannot provide. Over the past 20 years, hundreds of students have enjoyed jumping through the spotlight during performances at high school basketball games, at the Mountain View College Dance Festival, with the DTA company members at Leadership Arlington, and in the spring concert in May. Another program provided for our youth is the Teen Talent Follies. This is a yearly competition for 7th through 12th grade students with professional judges critiquing performances. Winners in each category of competition are awarded cash scholarships when they graduate from high school. Each year, over $2,500 is awarded to the winners of the Teen Talent Follies, along with lots of entertainment from everyone that goes. With decades of support to our community, the Miss Persis Studio and Dance Theater of Arlington are committed to making dance available to all. Persis, thank you so much for everything you and your mother created and did. It's a truly groundbreaking and a name in Arlington that's been around as long as anyone, as long as I've been alive, as long as anyone's been alive. And we're very proud.
She is. Yes,
She's
yes.
stand, so.
Ms. Persis, you want to come up too? Since come on up, huh? Well, we just want everybody to see you.
We'll
so
show
that
you.
you're
Stand up and wave. Thank you.
You're here. You're good. So,
And
well, we want to thank you. We certainly want to thank all of the trustees. Dr. Cavazos, thank you so much for having us and for honoring us in this way. Dance Theater of Arlington, of course, was Ms. Persis' brainchild, so I'm sort of carrying on the tradition, and we're thrilled to be able to do the IM program for as long as we did, hoping to reinstate that very soon. We'll figure out a way. There is a way, and we will figure it out. And so I want to also recognize all of the people that came with us today, because the program would not have happened without them.
They made it possible.
That's right. Diane Grindstaff was our accompanist. Every class had live music, and so
Wonderful.
which makes me think, as I'm listening to the Boles Orchestra, I'm thinking, how can we get the orchestra now to play for the next round of, so beware.
Dr. Boles was
Looking
once
for
the
you.
president of the board here. He was in my men's ballet years ago.
We'll see. She's giving you a little warning, because
Yeah.
we're working on some stuff.
oh no.
Betty Rober is also one of our teachers in the program. Every weekly, we would show up every week at Berry Elementary, and then Jacques Bethune is on our board, and ended up at UTA with the students and trying to do. This is Jacques. Paul Fulks is the president of our board. He has been leading us for the last several years, and is a big proponent of the IM program and everything that we do, and we are so grateful to you for all that you do for us. Susan Mills Polster has been a teacher for us. She has her master's degree in the arts and teaches at TCC in Fort Worth, but still felt that it was so important to come and
Former Casa Manana
There you go.
production.
There you go. So, and then Steve Burdick also came and worked every morning with us in the, and was a demonstrator, because we had several people, because we had the half of the fourth grade each time that we did the class. Well, that's okay. It doesn't, all you need is energy, really. That's the biggest, the thing that's most important. So, it was a great time. It's important. We need it back. We need to do it again, because it does a lot for the children. And it's, we have, the great thing is we have these arts groups that are so good, and the kids that are doing it, but there are a lot of kids that are not having that experience. And those are the kids that we're looking for. And we want everybody to experience the arts, because it changes you. It makes a difference. Your math gets better, your English gets better, every little
Very
thing
much, very true.
that you do gets better.
Miss Persis?
Is there anything you would like to say?
I would just like to say one thing. The program originally was started by Jacques Demois at the National Dance Institute in New York. And I thought it was a great thing, because he was doing it after school to keep the kids out of gangs. So they have to feel a part of something. We decided to start with the lower grades and went to the fourth grade. I went down 3 years to Austin to study on the Believe in Me program, and we named ours I Am, and sort of after that did it like that. It's builds self-esteem. We've seen a lot of I Am kids who are so proud, have come to us here and there in different fields, that have become teachers, that have become lawyers, have become physicians, different things, and they'll say, I was an I Am kid, and they were proud of it. And so we're proud of that, and thank you for supporting us.
Thank you
That's
so
very
much.
nice.
We appreciate it.
Miss Persis and Persis Ann, thank you so much. It's beyond just what you've done for dance. It's the entire arts support in the entire city of Arlington. Beyond AISD, beyond everything, support just for the arts as a whole is critical. And you said it, there's millions of studies out there that show when kids are involved in that, what it does for self-esteem, and kids you would never expect to be in dance or arts, or as Mr. Boles, the men's ballet. If you're making board presidents do that, we are in real trouble. So I'll let you see my elementary dance teachers. They'll tell you, or the high school musical I was in. They had lots of work on me. But it's about the arts and learning and those type of things. And it's beyond learning to dance, it's growing their spirit and their dedication. So we thank you so much, the entire group, for that. At this time, Dr. Fossos and I come down, give a little recognition and just a token of our gratitude. Thank you.
Well, they're going down. I want, Mrs. Persis doesn't even probably remember this, but back when John Hibbs' wife they had a child, and their daughter, who's now in her first year of college, was 8 months old at the time. And Mary Hibbs and I went through Leadership Arlington together, and we were part of the Fine Arts group. And Ms. Persis allowed us to use the dance studio and taught us some steps, because we did a performance, my group, which consisted of Fiona Allen, who is the past assistant city manager, and Robin Paulsgrove, who is the past chief of fire department, was part of my team, and we actually learned how to dance on stage thanks to her and what she designed for us. So that was my first dance class. Oh my goodness. So I appreciate it. Yes, anyone.
We have board pins we'd like to give y'all. Thank you so much. Glad to do it so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. We have to fight her to get in the picture. If she don't want to get in the picture, she's not getting in the picture. I know how that is. You don't want in the picture, we're not going to force her in the picture. Yes, ma'am.
I meant to say also a big thank you to Jamie Sullins, who has pushed our program for years and years and years, and many, many thanks to you, Jamie.
Thank you, Persis. And I was a little surprised you guys did not mention chop suey this evening. Maybe next time. Yeah. Okay.
Ms. Solons, is chop suey some dance, or you did?
It's a very important part of the dance theater of Arlington. They have a chop suey Christmas, and it's if you haven't been, you have not seen a party yet. So.
With an 8-month-old daughter, I have a feeling I'm going to be going to lots of dance events in my future. So, I was not the dancer, but my daughter can be. Perfect. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for that. Next, we'll move to appointments. Dr. Cavazos.
Thank you, President Hogg, and I'd like to recommend that the board appoint the individuals discussed in closed session for principal of Atherton Elementary, principal of Bergen Elementary, and assistant principal for Gunn Junior High, as discussed in closed session, and assistant principal for Cookin.
Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Payne and a second by Mr. Hibbs. Any discussion? Seeing none, please vote. 7 trustees present, 7 trustees vote in the affirmative. You guys have officially been approved for your positions. Dr. Vastos, please announce our appointments.
Thank you, President Hogg. And first, I'd like to introduce the new principal for Atherton Elementary, Mr. Antonio Verduzco. Antonio graduated from Texas A&M University College Station. Received his Bachelor of Arts in History, and then graduated from Southern Methodist University in Dallas with his Master of Bilingual Education, and University of Texas at Arlington with his Master in Educational Leadership. Most recently, Antonio was a principal at Dorsey Elementary and Dallas ISD, has been an assistant principal, and has also been a bilingual teacher. Antonio, welcome, congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I know I can't follow.
It's tough.
But yes, it is. And pardon my scribble scrabble, but President Hogg, esteemed members of the board, and Dr. Cavazos, I just wish to thank you for the honor and the opportunity to become the principal of Atherton Elementary, and also joining the Arlington Independent School District. As a teacher, I learned that the best thing to do is just be the most effective teacher in front of every student that you had. As an assistant principal, I learned that discipline and structure is what students needed to just proliferate, to grow. And now as a principal, I've learned that it takes not only parents, but also staff members in the community to grow your school. And those are the promises that I want to keep for Atherton, that we know that the community is the most important thing because every school is the heart of that community. And so we have to continue to grow our students and show them that parents, teachers, and of course, principals can work together to grow that school. So that is my promise. My promise is to keep it MET standards, to push education, to build not only academic, but social and emotional skills to our students. And that at the end, just become productive citizens. And so I wish to thank you. I wish to thank my wife, Sandra, for always being that push that to try something new, and this is going to be a beautiful experience. And so thank you so much for presenting me with this honor to serve Arlington ISD and to become a principal of Atherton, to keep it to make it a premier school in this premier district. So thank you.
Thank you, Antonio. Next, I'd like to introduce the new principal of Bergen Elementary School, Ms. Christy Harris. Christy attended the University of Texas in Arlington, received her Bachelor of Arts in English, University of North Texas to receive her Master of Education in Educational Administration. Most recently, an assistant principal in Grand Prairie ISD, has been an assistant principal in 2 different schools, has been a literacy specialist, a 3rd grade teacher, has had the owner and the operator of a home child care service. And so, Christy, congratulations. Welcome to Arlington. Anything you'd like to say?
Thank you. Yes, first of all, thank you. I am so appreciative of this. President Hogg and board, Dr. Cavazos. This has really been a very humbling and just a tremendous experience, and I really appreciate the honor of you guys choosing me and entrusting Bergen Elementary to me. I do have some family members in the audience that I want to recognize. In fact, I think we almost filled up this side over here. My father and mother are here, Pat and Lynn Love, and being in Beverly Flannery. Together, my father, mother, and I have served a total of 92 years in public education. So my father was a high school football coach for 26 years, 40 years as a speech teacher. So I'm a little nervous that he's going to give me a grade on this speech tonight. My mother was an elementary principal, executive director. She still works for TEA. And so, you know, this is sort of a legacy, and I feel like it's in my blood. And so I'm just really, really honored to be here. I have to recognize my kids. My daughter Ashley couldn't be here tonight. She's in college, so she's not available. But she is watching, so I have to at least, you know, recognize her. My daughters Miriam, Kayla, Jeremiah, my son, and Micah, my youngest.
They can wave. Hi, guys.
These kids have been the strongest support team that I could have asked for. They have been to lots of board meetings. They have gone to school on Saturdays and played basketball in the gym so mom could work. They've helped with textbooks and even probably graded a few papers. But I just want to thank them, because without them being as responsible and showing the great character that they have, I couldn't do what I do. And so thank you guys for sharing your mom with other kids. I also, my principal, Mary Smith, and Dr. Wilson, a colleague at the campus I'm at right now, came tonight. And I want to thank them for showing me what it means to be a selfless leader. You know, they knew that they were going to have a larger workload when they lost me, and yet they encouraged me and have just been great mentors. And more than anything, I just want to thank y'all for teaching me to trust in God's timing. His timing is just right. So I thank you, and to the staff at Bergen, I am thrilled to see you all here, and I really, I look forward to the relationships that I'm about to form with each of you, and especially each of you. So I will make you proud. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harris.
Next, I'd like to introduce the new assistant principal for Gunn Junior High, Mr. Nathan Prange. Nathan attended Baylor University and obtained his... Well,
Uh-oh, hold on, Dr. Russell. We got a banner.
Yeah, apparently so.
Nathan, you got a banner tonight.
Nathan attended Baylor University and obtained his Bachelor of Arts in Business Administration, Lamar University to obtain his Master of Education in Educational Administration. Most recently, a math teacher and coach at Birdville High School. Nathan, congratulations. Welcome. Anything you'd like to say?
Absolutely. I would first like to extend a sincere thank you to President Hogg and the school board. I'm grateful that you've approved me for this position within the Arlington Independent School District, and thankful for the outstanding service you provide year after year as members of this board. I would also like to thank Dr. Cavazos for your leadership in this school district and for also accepting me into this assistant principal position. Next, I would like to thank Mr. Villarreal for selecting me out of hundreds of possible candidates and trusting me with this position and allowing for me to be a team member for the outstanding faculty of Gunn Junior High. And my final and most important thank you goes to my family, my wife Kristen and my two sons, Owen and Everett, for your constant love and support and for always believing that I have the ability to be an impactful educator. To my parents, Bill and Valerie. Valerie's a teacher also at Martin. She actually started a year before me. And my sister Whitney for always telling me how proud they are of me. No matter the decisions I've made in my life, and always instilling in me honor and character. I also brought with me tonight my father-in-law and mother-in-law. They drove in for my son's birthday, so this worked out perfectly for them to see this on the big stage. So thank you to them. I'm a product of AISD. I was a Dun Dragon, I was a young eagle, and a Martin warrior. And in the show choir at Martin, I was in Persis and studio. And Bowie.
Nathan, could you show us what you learned?
Well,
Okay,
in a few months, I think me and you should do a duet up here. I think that would be good. But I believe the education I received was exemplary in those three schools and allowed for me to reach the high expectations, including getting this position at Gunn Junior High. I'm proud to say that I'm from the city of Arlington. And along with this highly regarded district and throughout the years since I graduated, the expectations are still high, just as high as when I graduated in 2001. I will take great pride in my position and assist Mr. Villarreal and the faculty of Gunn Junior High in creating a culture that instills a drive to succeed academically in our students. In the near future, I am confident that the leadership of our school and our teachers will take giant steps in improving our campus, and the success of our campus will not just be known in our junior high community, but our ideas and achievements will make a significant impact on this entire district. I'm excited about this opportunity and pledge to the school board, to Dr. Cavazos, to Mr. Villarreal, to the holders of this lovely banner over here, and the Arlington ISD community, that the work that I do will always be my best, and the decisions and work that I do will always be with the mindset of giving every student that walks in our building the approval and support and the success to achieve great things. Thank you again for your approval and support, and I look forward to my tenure with the Arlington Independent School District. Thank you very much.
Before I introduce the next candidate, I will like to take the opportunity to thank Dr. Link for serving as interim principal of Atherton. So thank you, Dr. Link, for that. Next, I'd like to introduce the assistant principal for Cookham Education Center, Ms. Michelle Salas. Michelle attended Oklahoma State University, received her Bachelor of Science in Hospitality Administration, University of Texas in Arlington for her Master of Education in Educational Leadership. Most recently, a bilingual early childhood teacher at Cookham Elementary, and has been a recruiter and a manager for the Manpower Employment Services and has worked in a hotel business as well. Michelle, congratulations. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it very much. President Hogg, members of the board, Dr. Cavazos, thank you so much for this opportunity. Forgive me if my voice is like this. We had field day twice today. I just want to thank you so much for allowing me to work at this wonderful district for 11 years. I've worked at Cookin under the leadership of Dr. Connie Spence. I would like to thank God for this opportunity. He's opened the way for me, and I really appreciate all that the staff members at Cookin and Dr. Spence have done for me throughout the years. I'd also like to introduce my family. I have my family with me, Tina Whitcomb, my brother-in-law Gary, my father, my son Alexander, and Joshua. And I see Mr. Villarreal over there. He was instrumental in Alexander's time at Martin. I really appreciate seeing some familiar faces. I'd also like to thank Dr. Spence. Dr. Spence has really worked with me throughout the years. She's helped me to be all that I can be, reach my potential, and give me the motivation and the courage to believe in myself. I appreciate it so much. And the staff at Cookin, some of them are here, especially my assistant, Anna Cecilia Lamas. It just touches my heart that she's here. We've been working together for 11 years. We do the best that we can for each child as they come through, and we appreciate the opportunity to work with them. As I go on to another stage of my life, another adventure, being an assistant principal, I pledge to do my best for every child and every family that comes through. Thank you so much.
Very nicely said by all four of you tonight. Congratulations, what great appointments, what great schools you're joining there. As is our custom, we ask our appointees to please follow Mr. Kale for a receiving line so we can meet you and welcome you, some of you to new positions, some of you to the district. Please let the board go first so we can come back in and conduct our business for the evening. We will take a brief break at approximately 7:55 to reconvene. We're adjourned. I'll call this meeting back to order. We have no public hearing tonight, but now we come to our open forum for agenda items. This is a routine part of the school board's agenda for regularly scheduled meetings. This segment of the meeting provides citizens with an opportunity to share their views with the trustees on items that are agendized. It's not intended to be a discussion or debate. Trustees will not reply to the speakers. Derogatory comments made individuals will not be tolerated. Personal matters are not appropriate subjects for open forum. I have one card this evening for our audience. When your name is called, please step to the podium. You will have 5 minutes to speak. A lighted timer on the podium will assist you in pacing the presentation. Just so you know the rules. Yellow light will illuminate. There's 1 minute left. And when the red light comes on, please enter. Speaking tonight is Ms. Jessica Lee from United Educators Association, speaking on personnel recommendations for retention. Good evening, Jessica.
Good evening, President Hogg, members of the board, Dr. Cavazos. My name's Jessica Levy, and I am president of UEA Arlington, and I represent over 4,000 employees in AISD. Tonight you're considering personnel recommendations, and I wanted to speak on the number of teachers leaving our district. I went through the agenda packets and the data for this school year line by line to figure out why experienced employees and teachers are leaving our district mid-year. One of our goals as a district is to retain our teachers and staff and to support them and mentor them. But already this year, 150 employees left AISD for another district and/or were unhappy with their job. Of course, these teachers were brave enough to actually put a reason, and another 100+ employees left for unspecified reasons, which is a category often marked so that they can find employment elsewhere. We also had 50 more teachers retire mid-year. These are highly experienced veteran teachers, and they picked up and left mid-year. According to the Texas Comptroller's report, Windows on State Government, each of these teachers lost cost the district an extra $15,000 to $25,000 a year this year to replace. Those numbers do not include any training that we may have additionally invested in the lost employees. Based on the numbers of employees lost mid-year to other districts, unhappiness in their job, and retirement, our district has lost an estimated $4 to $7 million so far this year, and the year is not over yet. One way to retain and attract experienced employees is to have competitive salaries. This week and in front of you, you will see UEA's released salary comparison chart, and we compared AISD salaries to districts that are nearby. One thing is evident from this chart, and is that AISD is lagging behind. An inexperienced first-year teacher in HEB makes more money than a veteran teacher with 10 years of experience in Arlington. Working closer to home is one of the top reasons employees are leaving the district. Yet our counterparts in bordering districts like HEB, Cannondale, and Mansfield make $2,000 to $3,000 more a year than we do. It is once again time to begin the budget process for the next school year, and election season is in full swing. Significantly raising employee salaries will go a long way to retaining and attracting the quality teachers our students deserve. As we enter the next phase of the strategic plan, Arlington needs to stay competitive, not only with surrounding districts, but with industry. To attract and retain highly qualified individuals for the advances promised in the bond, we need to increase teacher salaries and insurance contributions significantly. And if you build it, they will come approach will not work in our district, especially with our current reputation among teachers and voters. I'm the wife of a former AISD computer science teacher. He was a teacher who left mid-year last year, and he went to go work in the industry. Because of this, I can attest to the terrible toll teaching in public school took on his happiness, quality of life, and family relationships, especially compared to the last year working in a STEM-related industry. And if we want highly qualified STEM teachers, we have to take salary into account. You are about to face a teacher shortage. AISD's baby boomer generation is retiring faster than expected, and UEA retirement workshops are standing room only, full of AISD teachers. Universities are and have been for quite some time reporting drastic decreases in the number of students looking to enter the education field. We need to retain our AISD family. While implementing the first strategic plan, our teachers work their butts off with extra data entry, paperwork, and demands placed on them with testing. We need to show them they are appreciated. We need them to know they are important to the success of our district. We can do this by giving teachers and staff a significant and competitive raise and by increasing insurance contributions. Arlington is now a training ground for surrounding districts, and our veteran teachers count down the days until they can retire. Neighboring districts are actively recruiting our best teachers and phoning them up at home to tell them why they are the best and should come to their district. By voting to reinstate district insurance contributions, you'll be greatly appreciated. Please remember our teachers are vote. They vote.
Next, we'll move on to our action items. Consider notice of election. Dr. Cavazos.
Thank you, President Hogg and members of the board. You have before you the notice of election for the trustee election to be held on May the 9th, 2015. The election is being held to elect members to 3-year terms for places 1, 2, and 3 on the Board of Trustees. The notice of election shall be published in the newspaper, published in territory that is covered by the election at least once, not earlier than the 30th day or later than the 10th day before the election day. The notice of election shall state the date of the election, each place to be filled, the location of each early voting and election day polling location, the dates and the hours of the early voting, and the hours the polls will be open on election day. If you approve the notice of election, it would be appropriate to hear a motion at this time.
Dr. Vassos, I'll actually make the motion. I move to approve the notice of election for the May 9th, 2015 general election for places 1, 2, and 3 on the Arlington ISD Board of Trustees. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion by myself and a second by Mr. Hibbs. Any discussion? Seeing none, please vote. 7 trustees voting in the affirmative, 7 trustees present, 7 trustees voting in the affirmative. Polling sites are approved. Next, we'll move on to facility naming. Ms. Sullins.
Thank you, President Hogg. As you know, we had an event earlier this week on some facility namings, but we have some other adjustments to names and other facilities in the district. The Governance Committee, I'd like to thank Peter Barron and Dr. Aaron Reich for serving on the committee along with me, and we have some changes since we have so many, this domino effect that we started with the strategic plan is coming, and we have the first one, since we're starting the Fine Arts Dual Language Academies. There also will be one at Corey Elementary. So I'd like to make, and then we have the Ferguson, the Owsley, and Workman. So I'd like to make the motion, from the Board Governance Committee to move to support the following facility names. Corey Elementary will become the Dean P. Corey Academy of Fine Arts and Dual Language. Ferguson Junior High will become the J.C. Ferguson Education Center and house Venture High School and the Newcomer Center. Owsley Junior High will retain its name and house the consolidated students from Ferguson and Owsley. Workman Junior High will retain its name and house the consolidated students from Hutchinson and Workman Junior Highs. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Ms. Sullins. And seeing as how that's come in from committee does not require a second. At this time, is there any discussion from trustees? Seeing none, please vote. 7 trustees present, 7 trustees voting in the affirmative. Thank you to the Governance Committee for that work on that and clearing up any names out there. Next, we'll move to discussion item. Action item, consider schematic designs for the Fine Arts Dual Language Academy at the Corey Academy of Fine Arts and Dual Language. Is this just changed? Dr. Vassos.
Thank you, President Hogg. And this evening, we're pleased to bring the schematic design for your consideration for the Corey Elementary School, or the Academy of Fine Arts and Dual Language. And so Ms. Powell will begin that presentation and introduce our architects.
We voted on Dr. Cavazos. It's official now.
Good evening, President Hogg, board members, Dr. Cavazos. We actually have 3 presentations this evening of schematic designs on 3 different projects in the bond program, and we will start with the Corey Fine Arts and Dual Language Academy project. We are all going to have to practice that for a while.
Corey Academy.
Yes, the Corey Academy. There we go. Okay. But this project actually includes renovations to the building to provide spaces for the academy, the fine arts spaces, and the dual language classroom spaces that are necessary for those academy programs. It also includes the deficiency work and the life cycle replacement that were identified in the facilities assessment. And so Stantec Architects has been selected to design the renovations and the improvements at Corey Academy. And they are here with us this evening. This particular facility will begin its academy program this upcoming fall by taking in the first class of kindergarten students, our first cohort of kinder students into the academy program. The construction work itself will continue on through next year and will complete in June of 2016. When it's finished, the capacity of the school will be just under 600 students, or just around 600 students. And So we will bring back to you all the guaranteed maximum price for the construction work itself in August so that we can begin that construction work immediately after. So this evening we had 2 individuals from Stantec. We have Jonathan Aldis, who is with us, and then also Brett Holsey. And so I'll invite them forward and let them make the presentation.
President Hogg, Board of Trustees, Dr. Cavazos, thank you for letting us be here tonight and walk you through your first glimpse at the official Dean P. Corey Academy of Fine Arts and Dual Language. So that's the last time I'll say it all as one string, unless you correct me. I've got the Jones one down now, but this one's, I'm still working on this as well. I should back up very quickly and say the design process for these has been an interesting one and a fully engaged one. And by that I mean the district brought together well over 30 educators, community members, and frankly what I'll call industry professionals. Those are your fine arts partners. Had to begin the design process on both of these campuses. So a lot of the groundwork I'll lay on this campus applies to the one that'll follow directly after for the Jones campus as well. So with that, I'd like to walk you through very quickly some of the lessons that came out of that group. I alluded to this larger group that came together. I don't remember how many work sessions. It was several work sessions over the course of many days. But a lot of this was about figuring out how we were going to implement the logistics of how do you create a fine arts dual language academy. There just aren't that many references out there or standards to go by. There aren't that many academies of this construct. And so I think this committee was critical in forming that. What you see in front of you are some of the lessons or the guiding directives, guiding principles that came out of that. I won't read all of those to you. You have other things on the agenda. I'm going to aim to move quickly. I will point out, I think, 2 or 3 that make a huge difference in the designs that you can see in front of you. The third one down, values that these academies would value equally language acquisition and arts instruction. That's a real challenge. That's not traditionally done, but obviously, as you've seen tonight, that's what Arlington ISD is moving more toward. And then I think the second to the last one is formative too when we look at the buildings. It's a building that's, or it's a campus that's facilitated by teachers who have the flexibility to adjust their team's learning. And so that's been 2 of our main guiding directives as we move forward with working with the current campuses that we have. So just some very quick concepts we ran through very quickly. I'm not going to run you through these as well, but when you think about the idea of embedding fine arts into what you would call a traditional academic campus, there are a few variations of that. Do you break fine arts into several pockets and spread it throughout the building? Great idea, a little problematic when you consider most of the fine arts are, let's say, loud. They just make noise that isn't always conducive to be directly next to traditional academic. So the concept that you'll see, while you see it on the Corey floor plan, is actually applied to both campuses. The idea is that fine arts cluster together, but academics wrap around them. So that's sort of the guiding principle as we started to form the building. Taking that and applying that very quickly to the Corey campus, you can see on the Corey floor plan, and this will make more sense in a little bit more detail later on, these are the general blocking of functions of the campus. And this will make sense when we look at some images down the road. Let me address something very quickly that was brought up. The work on these campuses is twofold. It's the conversion to the academy, but it's also the deficiency report that was rejected, so we don't want to leave that aside. The site plan, and I think you can read it better on the information you have in front of you, addresses a lot of those deficiency issues. Frankly, a lot of those are about accessibility and then replacing playground finishes, some paving finishes, things like that. So I'm not going to walk you through every sidewalk replacement, but you can see there in front of you, one of the primary goals is to make sure all the elements, especially the playgrounds and student areas, are accessible to all students throughout the site. And that'll happen as a part of the work as well. In case you've not been inside Corey Elementary lately, we wanted to remind you, and I think the color coding helps a bit. This is Corey as it exists today. Obviously the blue is academic. You can see the purple. You see a dark purple kind of at your lower left and purple there. That is the extent of fine arts in Corey as it stands today. It's a pretty remarkable difference when you think about, when we've talked about the fact that students will be K through 4 will have arts for all. So students will be in every art at that point and then have their specialty in the 5th and 6th grade. That necessarily, as we talk with the planning group, meant a very different building, a very different accommodation inside, because it's not that you're rotating through a music room during the day. You very likely will spend almost half of your day in a fine art space of some sort. So just graphically, using the same color coding as you look at the renovation to Corey, keeping the same footprint of the building, you start to see now the blue area is the academic areas, but you're starting to see, I saw this green a moment ago. I'm not sure how that works. So you do have academic areas ringing, but you're starting to see now that purple, and these are different shades of purple. You actually have purple in two distinct areas of the building, but in a very solidly advanced sort of corridor space that we're calling the kinetic corridor, and we'll talk about that as we get into a little bit more detail. To see them side by side is where you see the primary difference. Now, a lot of this is made possible by the fact that this campus is reducing enrollment over the current capacity of Corey as it is today. Corey has a lot of classrooms today. To make this possible and to have that flexibility of learning space, what we're proposing is a good portion of the core of Corey classrooms now would be opened up and turned into extending learning areas and collaboration spaces for students as they engage in both fine arts and pure academics and the blending of those within the building. And you'll see that as we move forward. Sorry, Sloan, I think I just advanced yours. So looking at the academic spaces, they're very similar to what they are today in terms of the arrangement. In terms of economy, I'll give you our caveats. We have stayed within the building footprint. Frankly, financially, we can't afford to go adding to the building or amputating anything from the building. We went through some exercises early to see if that made more sense. And frankly, the program fits within the building space. And so we've given ourselves the limitation of stay within the building space and make the most of what you have there. So if you look at the edges of the building, essentially, these classrooms are the classrooms that are intact now. But if you remember from the floor plan, when you walk down a classroom corridor now, you have classrooms on both sides of you. This lighter shade of blue that you're seeing, those are what are being termed as extended learning areas. And that was a huge part of the discussion with the larger committee, as teachers having the ability to move students at different pace and letting students move at different pace. And so by removing those classrooms, those traditionally defined classrooms, and leaving that as more space that can be adjusted and adapted, we're still working through what that looks like. It's probably mostly about furniture reconfiguration. Maybe the carpet and ceiling delineates those areas. But I don't think it's a completely wide open space. It's somewhere in between where teachers and students have the ability to modify that space. But just as importantly at Corey, when you walk into the front of Corey now, if you've been in recently, you remember you're faced with a narrow corridor between the stage, another corridor choice here, and the the dining room to your left. What this does is essentially when you step in, this is your entry point after you're through a secure vestibule, of course. But at that point, this area is now wide open. This part of the building is open. These areas of the core of the building have now become opened up. The real goal with this is to, again, set the tone from the beginning, from the moment you walk in, that this is not your traditional elementary school. So a large part of this portion of the building, the area when you walk in that's to your left, is the same function. So don't imagine it being the same space, but the same function. So the administrative area stays where the current front door is, with reconfiguration to allow for the secure vestibule that will be happening, I think, on just about every campus that you're touching through the bond. The dining room and kitchen, very expensive space, so they'll stay right where they are. But the dining we begin to think about as not just dining space. In fact, the stage, we're proposing to move the stage back and open up that space into the dining a bit more. Same size stage, a little bit different proportions, and begin to think about the dining as a performance venue as well, not just a dining space. I think that's incredibly important here when you consider you have 6 strands of fine arts in the building that can be using a stage space. There is another small theater space, but still this would probably be when parents come for performances, this would be the venue. So I think necessarily we need to think about finish as being a little different than we would treat a typical elementary school. At any rate, it needs freshening up anyway. So that's part of the deficiencies report. You'll see a lot of overlap between the modification to the campus and the overlap. So it's hard to tell where one starts and one stops with the amount of demolition and reconstruction, but the goal is that the dining space is not what it is today. The classrooms that have always been off the dining room space, they've been kindergarten, they've been a few other uses over the years. We're proposing those to turn into your 3D and 2D art studios. That allows you to have art literally right off of the dining space. There's a wall that separates that now. The goal is to open that wall up a bit, and it may just be with glass, just from an acoustical standpoint. We may still need to separate the dining from those spaces. But our real goal is, as we talk to the design committee, is wherever students are in the building, they're experiencing art, whether they're actively in a program or they're just seeing it and being around it. So it would be important that those classrooms open up visually and have some connectivity back to that dining room space. And then the kinetic core of the building, this is where most of the fine art activity is. The gymnasium stays in place and actually becomes an integral part to that, because as you think about a dance program, while a dance classroom may work for most periods of the day or it may work for most days, there will be days where multiple groups will get together, and luckily they'll now be directly adjacent to the gym so they can use that space as well. So in this fine arts area, you have choral and dance. You have a dedicated music room, which you have in most campuses, and of course your new dedicated strings room, like you're adding to other campuses. What's unique to this campus, frankly, is that dance room, but also there are 2 keyboard labs directly across from that area, and that's where piano music instruction comes in. And then just south of there, you'll see drama room and the stage prop area and dressing area. So the black box theaters you have at the high schools, I won't say this is a full-blown black box because it's a little big for the constituents we're talking about using it. But think of it as a scaled-down version of a black box drama area. So it's kind of exciting. You don't see a theater space like this at a K-6 level just about anywhere. So right now we're working with staff to define, okay, what can students work with? Can they run the lighting controls? Can they learn stagecraft? It's intended to be a teaching space as much as it is a performance venue, because the goal again is to expose every student to each one of these strands of the arts while they're in the program and learning in at least 2 languages, which is again phenomenal in itself. So with that for the plan, as you look at Corey is dominantly a red brick building. What you can see of it, really there are 2 faces to Corey, and so the challenge has been how do you unify Corey and give it a street presence, because we all know that's really where you see the building from. Between the trees and the way the parking is arranged, this view is a great drive-up view, but it isn't the one you normally see. But starting at the front door, again beginning to set the tone that this is different. The goal is that we come in and do some 3-dimensionality to the space. It's an incredibly sort of flat perspective across the front of the building. So the goal is, especially at the front door, the canopy or the entry is covered, it's fairly low, fairly dark. So our goal is to come in and bring up a higher canopy there, 1, to announce sort of the front door as a much more visible element, and 2, frankly, to make that a much lighter space. Even the wall that you see there, that's the lighter stone product, that wall is also intended to kind of diffuse a lot of the red brick and lighten that space up. This is fairly simple elements. It's an aluminum canopy, wood trim underneath, perhaps to bring some warmth to it. And then you see the arch or the opening to the left. That's framing out the windows into the academic area, and also gives you the opportunity to put the Dean P. Corey Academy of Fine Arts and Dual Language. I almost looked at my screen to do that, making myself do it off the top of my head. We're of course proposing some landscaping. That was in the deficiencies as well. I think you've all had discussions about landscaping. Corey is a little narrow between the building and the curb, so we're a little constrained there, but I think landscaping would go a long way to soften that edge. The goal is to have that be as close to zero maintenance landscaping as you can, whether that's native grasses. We're working down that line, but you see there's sort of a suggestion of softening up the front edge of that building as well. Now, I alluded to the second face of the building. This is the face from the street. And what you're looking at now is those, if you remember, those are the 2D and 3D art studios that you would see. The sort of the high mass you see in the back is a little of the dining room. Right now, if those are art classrooms, there are no windows out of those spaces. So the proposal is that we introduce glass on that face of the building for 2 reasons. 1, you have natural light into art studios, which makes all the sense of the world. And 2, this really becomes sort of an advertisement from the street side, from the public who doesn't necessarily know what goes on at that campus. It's a pretty dynamic advertisement if this space is lit, or even during the day, of the activities that are going on in a fine arts dual language academy. So we're trying to take advantage of that opportunity to advertise literally from the street, just a simple element, introducing windows that the students benefit from, and also to reemphasize the fact that this is not a traditional campus. I think I've said that 3 or 4 times now. So working within the budget constraints, I think it becomes a pretty simple way to give some volume and some face to the building, define that it's a little bit different than your traditional campus. And again, I didn't point out, but those art classrooms, if you recall, there's this wonderful outdoor patio when you walk up to the front of Corey, huge oak trees. Those oak trees are great, and they cut against you as well because they kind of break the face of the building, but they make a great outdoor learning space. So what we're hoping also as part of the site issues with the landscaping is to have a good chance to come through and trim the trees to get them to where they add to the building, not so much hide elements of the building, but certainly they're a huge asset to this campus. When you think of Corey, what you think of is a lot of parking lot and a lot of trees. And so our goal is to not take away from that, but to use that back to our advantage. So with that is the whirlwind tour of the Dean P. Corey Academy. Any questions regarding any part of that?
Thank you. Very nice tour at this time. Questions from colleagues? Ms. Pena.
I don't really have a question. I just, as being part of the committee that reviewed all this with the team, we asked a lot of questions. We really grilled them. And
You did.
and you did a fine job of
Well,
taking
thank
that
you.
grilling. And I think that this is a wonderful facility. And we also, in addition to addressing the ADA compliance and the safety feature, we discussed security. I
Yes.
mean, security, we talked about safety because everybody knows I'm the tornado guard, so I want to make sure we have that. And they assured me, and this plan is just wonderful, what they've done. I really like what they've done.
Ms. Solons.
Thank you, President Hogg, and I'm also on the committee, and it was a great afternoon that we spent going through these designs and had a great discussion with you guys and also with Dr. Wirtz and Mr. Earnhardt, and appreciated the time. I had one just small question on how the facility design will support the visual arts program. I see Lynn Wynn in the area in the audience, and
Great question.
and we talked about it, but I just wanted to go back over that because
Good
I
point.
thought you had some interesting ideas in the meeting.
Good point. And in both campuses, we have some ideas. What's really exciting about this plan with the extended learning areas is that becomes a lot of our opportunity to have what we've termed pocket galleries, so that visual art is constantly on display and it's not just pinned to the wall like we're used to in a traditional elementary school. We're normally constrained to that when we have a corridor and we don't have a lot of space. The reality is, with the size of these extended learning areas, they're broader than a traditional classroom, and so even if a portion of them is being used, I think as we start to talk about how we define those areas, there may be fixed elements of walls that are intended as sort of gallery spaces. And even additionally, I neglected to point out, there are the 2 STEM labs that are being added to the campuses, and we've moved them to here. There is an interior courtyard at Corey that I forget to point out, and I think most of us miss when we're in the building. It's kind of an unremarkable space. But our goal is to also clear out a portion of that area between the STEM labs and that courtyard, use that as partial group meeting space, possibly pre-function space. If you had an event in the little theater or in the gym, that'd be a nice pre-function space to have gallery exhibits set up as well. So instead of dedicating a space or a room, really the thought is that as the building is used, students are actively finding ways to exhibit their art. And really, it's not even about exhibit, it's about showing each other what they're working on. And the thinking being the upper grade levels are kind of in the core of the building that's a little bit more open, flexible. And the kindergarten, the K-pod stays in place, so kindergarten makes sense to be there. So the younger grades, K and 1, would be in a little bit more controlled, static environment, while you get to the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Well, now you're starting to get into a much more active and dynamic space. So our goal is it's in the dining space, it's in these pocket galleries, it's kind of throughout. It's a great opportunity.
As I looked at these designs at the meeting the other day, the same thing comes back. When we talked about the bond, we talk about the design, we talk about the namings. What a great place if you are a elementary student in the AISD. They have the opportunity to attend these schools that have Imagine Black Box Theaters and dance studios and STEM and extended learning, and I'm very pleased with it, and thank you very much for coming this evening.
Certainly.
Perfect. I don't see any more lights. Wonderful design. I just commend you on the amount of work that we did on the inside of the building, on the learning environments. I think
it's going to be exciting.
We didn't forget why they're all there at those schools. So thank you so much for that work. That's all. Perfect. Next, we'll move on to schematic design. Oh, I guess we need to vote on each one. You want to get this approved so you guys can move on to the next one.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Hey, I understand.
I would appreciate approval.
We got to approve schematic design, so then you can start figuring out all the nitty-gritty details. So I would say approving it's probably pretty important this evening. So at this time, I would be more than willing to entertain a motion officially from the committee. Mr. Barron.
I move that we approve the schematic designs for the Dean P. Corey Fine Arts Dual Language Academy as presented, and this is coming from committee.
Perfect. Thank you, Ms. Barron. Being from committee, we don't need a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Ms. Solons, you hit your, sorry, do you have anything, did you hit the wrong, please clear that. Perfect. 7 trustees present, 7 trustees voting in the affirmative. Thank you so much we have officially approved the Dean P. Corey Academy of Fine Arts and Dual Language. We're getting all used to it. I see the Joneses out there. We're getting all used to it, how to say it all.
Takes a little bit of time.
Next, we'll move on to schematic design for the Jones Academy of Fine Arts and Dual Language. Dr. Cavazos.
Thank you, President Hogg. And at this time, we'll transition right on to the Jimmy and Laura Jones Academy for Fine Arts and Dual Language.
There you go. Got it. So, since you've already been through it with Corey, a lot of the slides at the front end I'll move directly through and get you down your agenda. Again, the same elements are important, but a very different floor plan. Rockmore presents us with unique challenges. Very compact building, originally designed as an open plan building, so it has potential to be opened up because it was very open when it was originally built, but a lot of static pieces that'll stay in place. So a bit different approach. Again, we've given you sort of the side overview. We've got playground equipment to replace, sidewalks to assure accessibility. So again, the deficiencies report will be addressed as well. Staff has been very diligent about making sure we're breaking those out and tracking those separately, so I can assure you that will be a portion of the work. So the current Corey is a very dense school as well. Very efficient, a lot of classrooms, a lot of space. The change to Corey, you can see, is that the sorry, and I want to say Jones, not Rockmore, but I'll say Rockmore because I'm changing Rockmore. So in the Jones Academy, what you're seeing is the fine arts have all become in the southern portion, but again, we've been able to introduce fine arts in the 2D and 3D form, separate from the music, immediately at the entry. We had a lot of discussion with staff at one point about whether all of the arts would be clustered in one area, and we were kind of missing out on the opportunity to have students have that visual display space. So with a little bit of manipulation and adjustment, we've been able to right at the front door, just past the administration space, have that the 2D and 3D studios with a unique sort of pocket gallery as well. Again, a comparison of the before and after. So academic is primarily in this zone. Most of the fine arts or kinetic arts, let's say, are here, and then the visual arts are immediately at the entry. So the extended learning areas that you saw at Corey, now I'm second guessing myself, at Corey.
No pressure, the namesakes are sitting right behind
I know, that's
you
what's
from
making
Jones Academy.
I wouldn't have worried at all if I didn't see them walk in.
They're pretty proud of Jones Academy, so you let
I know, I am too. I just want to make sure I do them well. So at Corey, you'll recall, we had a great deal of space that we opened up, and that frankly is a function of how big the Corey campus is. It's significantly larger than the current Rockmore campus. So you'll see the extended learning areas again. We have the STEM spaces, so we're trying to take advantage of having STEM spaces and then have the extended learning areas directly outside of there. I'll be honest with you, we're still working with the interior trying to carve in some more extended learning areas to try and diffuse some of the denseness of the classroom space. But we are at the number of classrooms we need. This is a 462 student enrollment campus when you're fully integrated. And we also have to maintain the count of students as we're going through the process, because you're starting with your kindergarten cohort and working through. So you're actually going to be reducing students over the years. So we are constrained. These are the number of classrooms we need in the building. So it's not like we're high on classrooms. We have just the right number, but we are working with staff to try and find a way to start to bring even smaller. Maybe they're not extended learning areas of this size. Maybe they're more of the 100 and 200 square foot, maybe diffused a little bit further back in the system. So look forward to making some arrangements there. The library, I'll tell you, has also been a topic of discussion. If you've walked in, the library is a very visible, I'll say, an obstruction to the building when you walk in. And so a lot of discussion moving forward will be how do we open up the library? And I don't mean the wall goes away. I do mean that we need to start perforating, and maybe it's just glass, maybe it's just in pieces and parts. That's been the subject of a lot of discussion. As we start to think about the library as a more active and dynamic space, can we open that up and also help the appearance when you walk in the front door? Because the reality is we've actually gained a bit of space at the front door. This is our administrative space, and this is the 2D and 3D art studio. Right now, you actually have you have restroom space all the way out to where I'm showing you on this line. We're able to remove those, so we're actually almost doubling the size of that front corridor when you walk in. So we are getting some of that openness here, and it'd be adjacent to the library to start carving out the pocket galleries for the two-dimensional and three-dimensional arts, and maybe there's a chance for small string quartets. Again, it's not a traditional elementary, so we're always looking for venues for students to exhibit what they're doing to other students, and that flows both ways. So that is a topic of much discussion, is what we do with the library. And again, the dining space would be similar to what we talked about At the Corey campus, we really need to treat that as a performing venue as well. And I neglected to mention, but I'll say it on this campus, your bond terminology about the Strings classrooms was very specific. It says acoustically appropriate. That is the major issue when we benchmark other facilities that have tried to do this at the elementary level. Most have just put this program in an elementary without making the step you've asked us to do. And so with a very knowledgeable acoustical designer on board, these buildings, I've been asked that question several times. Will you be able to hear it? The goal is absolutely not. You know, there's great care being put into. This is not just putting students in a classroom and calling it a strings room. This is the acoustically appropriate spaces that you're looking for. So I just want to make sure we've got that out on the table as well. But again, for economy's sake, cafeteria, kitchen stay in the same space with minor upgrades. Administrative space here, actually we're enlarging administrative just a bit. It's already, there's already foundation and roof over it, and so really it's just adding on to space that you already have. It allows us, you'll see a little more visibility at the front door to help improve the appearance of the Rockmore campus as it transfers to the Jones Academy. So I think you'll see there's some major change to the exterior. But again, it's the same programs that you saw previously: drama, dance, piano labs, music, strings, and then of course the fine arts, both 2D and 3D. The thing that I think is informative when you think about these campuses, instead of a student rotating through a traditional one music classroom a day and maybe an art classroom, I think I said this, maybe half of your day will be spent in those art spaces. So we really start thinking about those as constantly active and dynamic spaces, which gives you an idea of the classroom count can go down because most of those students are elsewhere for at least a portion of the day. We still have room on the canopy if we need to add any more letters, but you almost got us to the max with the Jimmy and Laura Jones Academy of Fine Arts and Dual Language. And we didn't put an ampersand there, so I guess we could save a foot or two there. The real goal with the modifications to the front to change Rockmore to Jones is two things. This is that admin area I was talking about, expanding a bit. And when I say expand that, we're also proposing that that be glass. Another element, it's just the dominant element when you look at the campus now is frankly those tilt wall panels. It's the same beige and then that maroon or purplish stripe that's around them. So the goal is to come into the dining space and remove a good section of those panels and bring glass in there. So from the front, again, we're setting the tone. And this is our performance space as well. So the hope is that you're actually seeing activity going on in that space. And not just, the goal is not to just have glass flush with the front. We actually would like to bring that glass out maybe 2 or 3 feet, so there's actually more of a face to the building as well. You have a fairly flat perspective now, and with the introduction of a very simple canopy element, something very simple as well, that gives you a little bit more three-dimensionality to it as well. We don't have the height here that we have at the Corey campus to work with, but I think it's scaled appropriately to the building. From a landscaping perspective too, there's a real opportunity on this campus. You have 2 large trees on each end of the front elevation, and that seems to be about it. But you have a tremendous amount of curb depth. So the goal is also to make the most we can of this space as well and begin to take the linear element from the face of the building and introduce it into landscape. Again, low maintenance, maybe some landscape benches, just simple seating areas to try and keep students. We can't ever quite keep them off the grass, but maybe that's not a bad thing. But certainly if you introduce landscape elements where they have a chance to sit directly outside the building. And the panels themselves, the goal is that we are able to repaint the trim around. Now they have that exposed aggregate finish on them. That is a pretty dominant feature on the building. But we did talk about, and the committee had some great ideas, and I'd forgotten about this, but you still have these 3 panels at the front door. Now I'll say they're painted tan around there now. Our goal is to introduce that gray tone that you see there, something just simple and more neutral than the tan that's on there, and take that around the building. But these actually are prime areas with that heavy exposed aggregate finish. We talked about whether we could get some 3-dimensional sculptural art that could be put on those panels. So right at the front door, there's art on display. Great opportunity for a partner who might, if you can find a community art partner, to commission a piece to go for that front door, literally be sort of the opening piece for the campus. But if not, maybe it's a student work that's created later on. But the goal is to concentrate the money spent along this elevation. We acknowledge that as you approach the building, you see it from the south as well. So we would take, I think we're thinking of taking landscaping around the south as well. Now you get around the north and you have the K-pod and some You actually gonna have a K playground, the K pod, and some canopies. But around the south edge, soften that with landscaping and take that same color scheme, the same color palette all the way around the building. So, that, I believe, yes.
Perfect. Thank you. Ms. Pena.
From what I understand, the core or the basic portion of the schematic is now complete. We have the academics in the classroom, but I heard you say that you still aren't done. There are things that still need to be done and changed up.
I wouldn't say they need to be done, they just need to be further clarified. I mean, schematic gets the elements in place, and now we begin the conversations with staff. We were just having a discussion with Mr. Earnhardt earlier about, okay, let's talk about shelving within the music rooms and things like that.
Okay.
That's the level of definition we're moving toward next. I would say the plan is resolved. As far as we understand, now, carving out extra extended learning areas, that's a simple exercise that doesn't take very much to do at all. That's the one thing I would say is kind of the only flexible part of the plan at this point.
Okay, because I was concerned that we would be approving the schematic and then you were going to make changes. And my recommendation to the board was going to be, well, we can approve this, but you have to bring back
Right.
changes.
I wouldn't expect anything substantive. Most of it's about defining what's already in the plan at this point.
Okay.
We've been through several iterations with staff. I think they would shoot me if I started moving pieces around at this point as well.
Yes, I think so too. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pena. Ms. Solons.
Thank you, President Hogg. We did have a long discussion about the extended learning areas because we have different schools, and the footprint you start with Corey and Rockmore, and we'd like to see, and I don't know if when we left last time we were going to look at it, if the extended learning areas at Rockmore, at the Jones Academy, would be visually connected so the teacher could see it, or by technology or by proximity.
Right.
Do we still think that's going to be achievable? I think it's really good that those extended areas are where the teachers can easily use those spaces.
Right.
Okay.
And that's, as we talked about, you know, we have classrooms in this area that have small restrooms as a portion of them. And while at kindergarten, that's great, but if you don't need that, you would always want that. I understand that. But in this case, we may need to make the trade-off between, if I could gather up 2 or 3 of those, that square footage that represents, and instead transfer that into an extended learning area, then we're looking at carving a very simple one here that 4 classrooms would have direct access and visibility to. And maybe we have an opportunity to do 1 more in that other corridor as well. So it's not a sea change. I mean, it's really probably 2 smaller areas that would be very much integrated in the classroom space. And then it's just about glass being introduced between the classroom and that space to make sure teachers can keep an eye on what's happening in the extended learning space.
Great. So it sounds like maybe able to work through a relocation of this area rather than we talked maybe about potentially a technology solution there.
Right. We with staff, we talked about technology, and no one seemed to think that was, you could do it, but we're not sure how feasible it would actually be in practicality. Would people actually use that?
I think the best would be this close because it'd be also used for collaborative spaces as
Right.
well. And I would have to share with my colleagues how excited I would be the thought of some permanent exterior art at both the Jones Academy and the Corey Academy that is in, it's a great opportunity for partnership. So I'm looking forward to those conversations, Mr. Wynn. Yeah.
I assume that's who you're looking at.
Thank you, Ms. Solons. I agree with that. As our Arlington Museum of Art and Organizations Forum to do more public art, I think it's a perfect collaboration discussion, especially for these 2 locations to really do the outside. I do have one question. If you could go to the overall layout of the entire campus with the parking and everything.
Yes.
So with Corey, tons of parking, tons of spaces around there. With Rockmore, it's a little different, and I think
almost the opposite.
The Jones Academy. I'm just going to leave it at the Jones Academy. That's what we talked about. That's what we're going to call it. You know, as schools evolve, and we just had a discussion with some other elementaries that all of these 40 and 50-year-old schools face, more parents are dropping them off. So there's
Right.
not enough drop-off space for parents to roll in, and it's backing up our streets with traffic and some of those things. What's the discussion on Rockmore of how that can be done? Is there any way to enhance this and take that? You're kind of snickering. And
Well, Dr. Reich made an audible gasp, so.
Did I say it again wrong? I just won't say it for right now. Go ahead.
You're right. I mean, most of these, and most schools of this area were designed as neighborhood schools
Right.
with students walking. And this is, everybody faces this, I'll be honest with you. when we look at the land you even have available, we've not had a conversation to answer the question in the shortest form, because it wasn't specifically listed as a deficiency, and it wasn't about the transference to the Fine Arts Academy. I can say the site doesn't recommend itself for much more than it currently has. We have a little bit more land here, which we all know your stack is only as good as it gets you to the front door, because no parent will pull past the front door to drop a child off unless they're actively made to do that. So we're fairly limited. I think this is actually our property line on the southern end, so I don't know that we could introduce more drive there. So I think we have issues with just frankly not having enough stack space, enough space on the site to do it.
And I think that's one of those, and I'd ask as we go through and look at this, make that kind of look and ask if that can be evaluated, because as we're making updates and completely repurposing the school, it's the perfect time and opportunity to make sure it's efficient, because as you said, not as many students are walking, especially with a school that's probably going to have more bus routes coming into it as they're coming through, and also more parents that will be dropping their students off at this school. I would guess you're going to have 0 students walking to this school, most likely. So the bus routes, I think Corey's simple and easy design. I think you can pull hundreds of cars in to Corey right there. I think we're a little tougher at Rockmore, and I think that's something we really have to take in consideration to really have an evaluation of what can be done on that.
That's a good point. You're right. As an academy, just about every student will be arriving delivered.
Yeah, every single one. And so how are our buses coming in to do drop-off for those areas? How are the students and the parents going to be dropping off? And also as some of that, as the new developments going in right around, Corey, what are we doing with traffic studies around that side to really evaluate? Because it's a problem every elementary is facing now. It's not just this, but as we're repurposing, this is the time we have to look at this and really make sure it's the right design. And if we have to find more dollars for a one-time fix, I think that's something we have to do, because I know sometimes parking and paving is not an inexpensive fix, but we have this shot to do it right now. So I encourage staff and our team to really look at that.
That's a good point.
Ms. Mays?
I just wanted to say Jones Academy of Fine Arts and Dual Language. Thank you.
Show off.
I shouldn't have given him grief earlier about saying it, because then I'd butcher it. I know how that goes. At this time, I'd be more than willing to take a motion. I'd ask any of my colleagues that make the motion to please, it's coming from the committee. If you consider asking it with the parking review, I think would be an important part of the motion, or otherwise I can amend it if you want to do that.
I'll make the motion. Move that we approve the schematic design for the Jones Academy together with a study of the proposed parking plan, so that we'll have the most efficient use and reduce traffic congestion in the area.
I have a motion coming from the committee. Doesn't need a second. And Ms. Solons, let me ask, you said parking, that also includes drop-off and pick-up, I'm assuming?
Absolutely. Drop-off, pick-up.
Bus routes.
Ingress and egress from the facility.
That's a better technical term than mine, so I agree. That's very nicely said. Any further discussion from colleagues? Seeing none, we have a motion. Please vote. 7 trustees, present 7 trustees vote in the affirmative. We have a schematic design with a little more review for the Jones Academy of Fine Arts and Dual Language. Yeah, I got it. Takes me a second. Thank you so much to Stantec. You guys did a great job. Nice design of these 2 buildings. Thank you. Perfect. Next, we'll move on to Dr. Cavazos. Consider schematic design for the Career and Tech Education Center. I just remind everyone in the audience, schematic designs are very high level, first level review designs. So if you wonder why we're not getting into every little detail or every little building, we do that later. Look, I look at them like that. Dr. Cavazos.
Thank you, President Hogg. And at this time, I'd like to welcome Cindy back to the podium and start our presentation of Career Tech Center and the schematic design for that. And this is an important moment, really, because it's something that will impact all high schools and many, many students. So, Cindy.
President Hogg, board members, Dr. Cavazos, this is a new facility. It's a career tech center. We'll serve all 6 of our high schools, and as we've already discussed many times, students will remain enrolled in their home high schools, and they will travel to and from the Career Tech Center to take specialized trades classes and in vocational or technical courses. We have a lot of work to do on this site. This project will be located at the campus that it currently houses Hutchinson Junior High. At the end of this school year, the Hutchinson students will move to Workman. Then we have to strip everything out of Hutchinson, actually demolish the building, and then we will begin bidding this project in late fall. And we will actually bring a guaranteed maximum price back to the board for consideration in January. And so the building is scheduled to open in August of 2017. Okay. And so VOK architects have been selected to design this facility, and there are a number of representatives here this evening, and we've worked with them extensively. We went through a planning lab process with DeYoung Richter in the fall to identify programming to be included in the facility. I believe there are 13 programs that will be housed inside the Career Tech Center, along with the data center for our technology folks. Balfour Beatty is the construction manager for this project. And so we have with us this evening, we've got Sloan Harris, and I'll let him do introductions of the rest of the group, but Sloan will make the presentation for the schematic design.
Thank you, Ms. Powell. Thank you for having us here. I have with me several members of our team. Richard Hunt, he's the project designer. To his right's Justin Hiles, he's our project director. To his right's Jamie Barnes, project architect, who is also the project architect for Adams Elementary School. And to his right, Chad Davis, our director of design. As Dr. Cavazos pointed out, this is a very important project, and we do not take the assignment lightly. So I'm going to need about an hour and a half of your time tonight to go through the schematic design presentation, if that's okay. Just joking. Guys, do you want to hand them out the hard copies? Because we're going to go through some of the floor plans, and we want to make sure that you're able to read some of the labels on there. I have one in front of me, too, so I can see it as well. As Ms. Powell mentioned, we started this process with the DeYoung Richter going through the assembly of compilation of spaces through their lab process. I want to compliment Craig Wright and his team's involvement in that process as well. Out of all the projects that I've worked on, for a project of this scale, the number of people that have been involved up to this point to make sure that everything the district needs for this Career Tech Center is included has been phenomenal. Craig's program that he developed for this and collaboration with DeYoung Richter was excellent. So we picked up the ball from there when DeYoung Richter delivered their compilation of spaces. We took that and formalized the program with Craig's team. These are just some of the many people that have been involved in the process thus far. I want to point out that Ken Hutchins, our principal of creative, who some of you have met, has been involved in this project as well. He's not here tonight. And I also want to point out Mark Adams, who's one of your students at Bowie High School. He's serving an internship in our office right now. So he's gotten the benefit of being a part of this project as well. So where we started after we took the compilation of spaces that DeYoung Richter delivered is we went in, well, I'll get into that in a second. I want to revisit the schedule very quickly. As Ms. Powell pointed out, we are at now the delivery of the schematic design. We'll be entering design development upon your approval of the schematic design this evening, and everything is on schedule. This is the site. We are dealing with a site that has some existing structures on it, but we are approaching it in such a way that it is at the end of demolition going to be a blank slate for us, and that's how we've approached the site design. Pioneer Parkway is obviously a very important thoroughfare to Arlington, and it gives us a lot of viewpoints to the existing site that we're taking advantage of that you'll see shortly. We also took into consideration the neighborhoods that surround the site. We want to respect them, both from a traffic standpoint, access standpoint, and a security standpoint. So we've taken that into consideration as well. So one of the things I wanted to say a second ago is that our process for this wanted to be a stakeholder process for developing this design. And the way we do that is through our charrette process. We call it our gaming charrette process. We take that compilation of space and formalize the program, and then we create a graphic of that program, which is essentially gaming pieces. And we invite administration staff. Craig and his staff was there. We even had student body involved in this process to create what ended up being the foundation for the conceptual design that we go through. So I want to show a video of how that process works, and I'll talk a little bit through it as it goes on. So that gaming process, you could see the image boards that we started with that helped the audience and the stakeholders and the end users give us input as to how they wanted the building to look. We showed them collaboration spaces, we showed them career tech spaces, we showed them building exteriors, we showed them classroom spaces, and so they were able to look at different versions of those things and give us an idea of what kind of architectural vocabulary this building wanted to have. Then, as you saw, they took the gaming pieces and started to assemble what they felt like the building floor plan wanted to start to feel like, how spaces and different academies were adjacent to each other, how the entry of the building wanted to work for them, how the site circulation wanted to work, and what spaces might want to be upstairs versus downstairs. What kind of views they want. You can see there's notes all over the plan of why they think things are important and things that they wanted to make sure happen in the assembly of the conceptual floor plan. And there were two versions of this, and the audience, the entire team voted on which version that they wanted to go with after those presentations of the different teams presented their concept. And it was Team Us versus Team Them, and Team Us won. And so that's where we left it. We told them that we'd take that and we would go develop a concept and bring it back to them to present. And this is where we went. We started to formalize that game board that they developed into the spaces with the program square footage that was identified in the compilation of spaces and the program that we developed with Craig Wright and his team. And this is what it looked like. We started to give some vignette sketches to how the volume of the building might feel and look from a bird's eye view. You can see here that we wanted to show what the volume of the building started to look like. This is the first floor versus the second floor and some of the taller spaces, like the auto tech shop and the welding lab and the construction lab spaces. So you could start to get a feel for the overall volume of the space, because it's a large facility and you have a large site, and we wanted to see how that would feel from the street. And so from there, we took it to full design. Okay. I feel like I don't even want to say anything after that, but
drop the microphone.
Yeah. I just dropped the mic. Let's talk about the site plan a little bit. I'll highlight some of the things that are important in our site design. One is the separation of visitor circulation from student circulation. You can see at the front of the building we've got access off of Browning Drive for visitor parking, both for the data center as well as for the CTC itself. As you continue down Browning, there is a loading dock specifically for the data center, and since I keep saying data center, I'll point out that this is the data center. We'll get into the floor plan here in a second. But the data center has its own dedicated service area and its loading dock. As you work back to Oleander, which is your own private street, that's where the bus circulation and the student parking will occur. You have a bus loop there, and then student parking. Then you have your service yard, and we'll get into that in a second. You can see that the overall building itself is comprised of two distinct shapes. We have this sculptural curve along with a static rectangular, what we consider Main Street, or that creates a Main Street in between the two. Here's the Main Street I'm talking about. You can see the visitor entry here flows through to the student entry in the back. This gray area is the data center. I'll zoom in on that. Here you can see the data center is isolated from the rest of the functions of the school. It does have access into the school itself, but it is isolated. It has its own separate entry so that it is secure for its obvious purposes. The light green space is the Broadcasting Academy. It has TV studio, audio studio, sound booths. It's also going to take advantage of access to the exterior here for any heavy equipment loading and unloading into the building. The light purple is a horticulture laboratory. It's located for direct exterior access. The greenhouse, it's off the screen up here, but the greenhouse is up here, so you'll have access directly to the greenhouse to the horticulture lab. Then you have the information technology lab in the dark blue, and then the cosmetology lab here in the red. Photography next to the information technology lab. Cosmetology's got two large cosmetology labs, and it has direct public access for servicing clients at the front of the school with secured entry. The pink here is the Culinary Arts Academy. It has an instructional kitchen. It has a hospitality kitchen, as well as a food service kitchen for the students to be served food that are actually attending school there all day long. The hospitality lab is to accommodate the instructional programs for the hospitality industry, as well as to provide culinary opportunities for after-hours events or special events. It's got a bistro associated with it for students to gather and sit and collaborate together. As we continue, we have at the front the administrative area. That is, again, secured entry that forces visitors into the reception area. It's got two professional development rooms that can be opened up to one combined room. Then the planning collaboration area, in lieu of having teachers' quote-unquote offices inside each classroom, we're providing an open planning collaboration area here where each teacher will have their own individual desk and their phone in this space here. So what it does is allows more coordination, collaboration with the staff inside the school, as well as gives us more efficiency of space. Continuing down Main Street on this side of the facility, we have our taller volume spaces and what we also consider some of the more noisy spaces. Your construction assembly laboratory, your precision manufacturing laboratory, your welding laboratories, your fire academy, and your auto tech. Auto tech has its own public entry as well for students in that academy to be able to service real vehicles. And then all of those components, all those academies and components of the facility have their service yard area here. You can see that's an 18-wheeler, so it's more than large enough to have the vehicles that are going to be loading and unloading equipment and material to these spaces to come in and out. They actually have an entry point and an exit point. Also, some of your services like dumpsters will be located here as well. Continuing on, you have your law enforcement academy here. They have a physical activity room that will serve them, as well as the fire academy. The dark green here is your health sciences, and they actually occupy both the second and first floor. And I'll go to the second floor now. You can see that the second floor is isolated at the taller volume of the sculptural component of the floor plan. And here we have the other half of health sciences. We have a tiered seating area here that, again, is another component of the facility that allows for student collaboration. Your engineering academy is up here as well, along with your architecture and graphic design laboratories. And then your business academy is here in the purple. There's a outdoor terrace here for students to go outside and enjoy the outdoors. And you can see that, I'll go back a couple slides, you can see that the space for Main Street is fairly large, and that's intentional because it allows for all of the students to engage with all the different academies as they go through the facility. So it's an opportunity for students to be exposed to not only the academies that they're there to attend, but other academies and what they're doing. There's going to be transparency into all these spaces so you can see the activities that are going on within those spaces. Also, Main Street's large enough that you can house after-hours events there. Whether it's round-top tables or actual lecture seating, you'll be able to have any number of events that can flow from the bistro area and be served by the Culinary Arts Academy, any number of things. It's just another space to probably fit, at least in a lecture seating environment, 200 to 250 people at a time. These are the elevations. There's really two distinct architectural components. One is a glass curtain wall for the sculptural element, and then the other for the rectangular element is a concrete tilt wall. That provides hardened facility for the data center, which is intentional because that's an important component to not only the facility but the entire district, and we want it to be safe and secure. And that cuts through the entire volume. You can see that we are using some brick, some masonry as well in some of the facade. So there's really only three materials. There's glass, brick, and concrete. You can start to see how those are defined better in these renderings. This is looking at from a bird's eye perspective to the front of the school over Pioneer Parkway. This is more down at eye level, looking into the entry of the facility. This is back over at the data center. This is on the other side of the facility. This is the student entry piece, and one of the things I failed to mention earlier is that the bistro component is right inside these doors. So we anticipated the desire to have student seating and eating out into this courtyard area as well, so that is adjacent to the student entry piece into the facility. This is that sculptural southeast corner that would be looking essentially from Pioneer Parkway towards in the direction of northwest, but of the building, it's the southeast corner of the building. And that's that second story terrace that I was speaking of earlier. And there's also porch area on the first floor for student gathering as well. And this is the nighttime shot. You can see that we're washing this masonry facade with the signage with light, some linear light components to incorporate within this red metal panel system, tall, grandiose entry into the facility, and some backlit signage for the actual naming of the facility. And that is where we're at with schematic design. We're ready to move into design development. These are the next key dates. We're going to plan on completing design development in June. As Ms. Powell mentioned earlier, we're going to be seeking GMP approval of Hutchinson Junior High School demolition in June as well, so they can get going with the abatement and demolition of that facility and be ready for construction on the new facility in the fall or at the end of the year. And everything's on schedule right now to open for fall 2017 with substantial completion June of that year. It's a long way off, but it'll be here before we know it.
Time flies.
So with that, I will open it up to any questions, and I want to give credit to my team one more time because they designed this, not me. I'm just fortunate enough to be up here and blabble through their design, and I'm sure I left out some key components that they'll ridicule me for later, but super proud of where we're at right now.
I saw him cringing slow. No, you didn't. Yeah, wonderful job. Mr. Hibbs.
You deserve giving them a lot of credit. This is phenomenal. This is by far the most innovative building that I think I've seen in education. It's just jaw-dropping. you know, I want to, in the same way, I'd like to give some kudos back here to the board. I mean, Ms. Pena, Mr. Barron, under your leadership as presidents, you led us down this direction. Mr. Hogg, you've been able to see this through and get us to this point. This building is the hallmark to what our bond project was last year. Dr. Reich, I mean, your input has been you're the one that asks a lot of questions and pushes to understand more, and I appreciate that. Ms. Mays, I would be remiss in saying that you and Mr. Pompa and the insight that you were able to get. You're not on this board, but you were sitting in these meetings regular. I mean, just as any board member was. That's phenomenal. Huge kudos goes to Ms. Sellens, because when we got on this board, this wasn't even on the horizon. It wasn't even in the back of minds. You drugged me personally to TCC to say, how can we have career tech programs? And we've got to give you huge credit to that. For our Dr. Cavazos and to our staff, wow. I mean, sitting through these meetings, you could see how engaged you were, how involved you were. Folks, this is a game changer. This is what's going to revolutionize this district. This is the vision that you as architects and designers and this board, the administration, set out to try to move this this district forward. And I know that we had a speaker earlier tonight and talking about salaries retain teachers. And you know what, the board does a pretty good job, and we've always been responsive to that, and I know we will be again this year. This is what gets us new talent. One of the things I like to do is I like to sit down with brand new teachers that just joined our district, and I was able on Tuesday night to sit down with a brand new teacher at Seguin High School. He went and took my invitation. We had dinner, and I said, why did you want to come to this district? Because he had 3 offers, higher paying offers. And I said, why did you want to come to this district? I grew up here, Mr. Hibbs. This is my district of choice. And I want to be part of these revolutionary things that you're doing. How exciting is that to have a teacher that wants to do that? This is somebody that wants to come into this district and be part of the excitement that's moving forward. I'm passionate about this because this truly is a game changer, and I thank you for what you guys are bringing towards us, and I thank everybody that's a part of this, and I thank our community that stepped out and said, this is what we need to take this district that next step, because we understand that not all of our students are going to go to college. But in our strategic plan, the thing that we said that was that bold statement that 100% of our students will graduate on time, prepared for the college or career of their choice. Can you see how this building can get those children to realize those dreams? There's so many opportunities wrapped up in this one building. I don't have any questions. I just got to say, this is phenomenal. And I'm going to let my other board members speak.
I would say you like it, Mr. Hibbs. I would agree with you. Ms. Mays.
That was passion, and thank you, Mr. Hibbs. First of all, I do want to say what I really, really like is I am all about inclusiveness. And I really like the fact that not only are y'all accepting us to pay y'all to do what you do, but you're inviting all the stakeholders in, that we have said this is the vision we have. They've bought into that vision, and now they're allowed to participate. And to me, I think that's huge. So thank you for opening up your doors and listening to all of our different stakeholders. I love seeing the students in that video. That was really exciting to me. Okay, now my question is, as I'm looking at the floor plan, the teacher parking.
And yes. Where is it?
Yeah.
We are going to plan on having teacher parking in both locations.
Okay.
You have data center parking here for that staff. They're probably naturally going to flow into this a little bit depending on their peak demand hours, but we plan on having teacher and student parking back here.
Okay, perfect. Also, I'm still thinking, not just here, but even more in the future, as we add additional CTE classes up on demand, it looks like we've allowed that to happen here on our first floor.
Yes,
Am I
ma'am.
seeing that correct?
First and second floor, you see future expansion on both sides of the facility.
Right. Okay. And then, okay, now maybe it's just from looking at it here, but the career tech, I'm assuming from the street, it's probably a lot larger than what I'm envisioning. The career tech verbiage, yeah.
That right there?
Yeah, is it?
To try to gain scale or sense of scale, you see a person there?
Mm-hmm.
So say the person's 6 foot tall. That's about a 20-foot tall letter to the top of it. We will make sure that it is visible from the street.
Yeah, career tech, I'm just
Absolutely.
so excited about that.
Yeah, absolutely. The career tech does look a little small there. We'll make sure that, obviously that's the goal. We will make
And Ms.
sure that
Mays,
it's
there's
visible.
also a monument sign on the corner.
Yeah,
I did
saw
fail to
that.
point that out.
And I
Yes.
think as it gets in, we get deeper in the design, they'll have really good visuals so we can see spatial
Right.
recognition.
There will be
and see.
a very, very nicely designed
Well
monument
defined.
sign on the corner there at Browning and
Great.
Pioneer Park.
Thank you.
We even joked during the committee meeting, I'll just have them project everything on all the glass windows on the outside. Make it like the Omni Hotel in Dallas. I told him, I said, you guys built that into your budget, right? And I heard crickets. So, Mr. Barron.
Maybe we could have a bat symbol, you know, up in the sky. It was truly a pleasure to sit on the the planning committee for all of the two other buildings and this one, especially this one, because this is the showpiece of the district. It's certainly going to be the showpiece in East Arlington. I am so proud of this building. It's just gorgeous, and that's my thing.
Thank you. Thank you.
I had some questions. In our planning, we talked about the greenhouse and the herb garden, and the kids will actually grow their own herbs to use in the culinary arts program. Is that true?
I'm going to defer that to Mr. Wright.
Yes. See, true. This is really cool. On the backside, the east-west road on the far edge, Oleander.
Oh, I'm sorry. That right there.
Yeah, I was concerned that we would not be a good neighbor there, but it turns out that none of those houses open onto Oleander. They all open the other way. Is that right?
That's correct. Those are all their backyards there.
Yeah.
And there's some fencing, that's their fencing between your property and theirs. But our plan is to put up new fencing on your property to give a more, a better, more finished buffer between them and you. A little bit more security between their property and yours.
And the scale of this building in the property itself is just huge. Really impressive. I did have a question about food service for serving the students breakfast and lunch. And we talked about that. Could you go into that a little bit?
Absolutely. This is the Culinary Arts Academy. This larger square is the instructional lab. The reason it's larger is because you're literally setting up for students to be taught culinary curriculum. This here is the food service kitchen that's a traditional food service kitchen to serve your student body. So it meets all the federal guidelines for those purposes. And then the other food service component is the hospitality lab. Again, that is not to serve students except for after-hours events where culinary arts students may be called in to cater for those particular purposes, but it does have a bistro associated with it for student gathering and.
So the
your own
bistro will
storefronts.
be a pay-as-you-go, a fundraising event, or?
Could be. I'm going to defer to Mr. Wright again.
And then across the hall diagonally, we have 2 staff development rooms.
Right there.
Can be divided. Divider, and you can have events there, and the kids can cater the event. Mr. Wright, this thing is like.
Can you come to the microphone?
Is that a voice from, that was a voice from above. Excuse me, I'm not coming to the microphone, but across the hall, our priority was kid spaces. Sure. Learning spaces, but we did, in the dark maroon, dark purple, maroon I guess is red. No, right where you were, that's brown, isn't it? You know, color's not my thing, you can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, right
You
there.
look for staff development?
Yes, thank you, Sloan.
There you go.
Those 2, it's about 1,200 square feet, maybe a little bit bigger, but you can divide it in half to 2 rooms for staff development, teacher meetings, and people could come in, and then the kids could cater that event. And then the bistro, you see all the stools in the hallway across, that's for students sitting and gathering, and then the bistro could serve that. We can't get in competition with the food for the students' federal guidelines. But for after-school events, we could, or during the day when groups gather, or in the evening, which when Sloan brought up, you can see almost 200 people in there. We could have events, and then kids could cater to those. So, and I was really excited when they began to talk about Ginger as our former ag teacher, and we were going to have the greenhouse at another place. And once the teachers and Ginger started talking about the collaborative opportunities with the greenhouse and the kitchen, and then we'll have a garden. And so the kids will actually learn. You'd be surprised how many 9th graders don't know that carrots don't just come from the grocery store. And I'm not kidding. I mean, and so they can grow them, see them do organic cooking in the whole from start to end. So that's really exciting. It's very exciting. And thank you, Craig. Thank you for the opportunity too. Yeah. I always try to, when we talk, tell you, thank you for the opportunity for the kids. It's very, very exciting. I agree with Ms. Mays here that it was great to see the students taking part in the planning. As we learned that early on in the strategic plan. The strategic planning, that the student input was so valuable.
It was very valuable in this exercise as well.
Yeah.
They participated at a very high level.
Anyway, I love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barron. Ms. Pena.
I'd like to echo the sentiments of the rest of the board that has spoken in that this is a phenomenal building. And it is 169,800 gross square feet.
Yes, ma'am.
That is humongous. It is humongous. And because it's humongous, that leads me to my question. You said that the assembly area holds 250 people.
We actually have not done a seat layout yet, but look at, there's a school bus. See how many school buses you could probably fit in that space. So it's large, and we're gonna set that up with both lecture seating and round tops, just to know for future planning purposes for events how many people you could actually seat. But yeah, at a minimum, in a lecture seating environment, 250 easily.
Okay, so I'm a mom and I'm a lady, and one of the things that women always have to do is stand in line at the restroom.
Sure.
I only see 3 restrooms for 139,306 square feet.
Well, we have.
I have that many in my house.
We have restrooms on the first floor, and these here. There's going to be staff restrooms for administration purposes back in the administration wing, and then there's more restrooms there. I can assure you that we'll have the fixture count, not only that what code requires, but above and beyond that for functional purposes.
Yeah, so we have to know the seating capacity.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, the seating capacity is going to demand less fixtures than what the overall student capacity is going to be. We're going to have 2,400 students circulate through this facility a day. So that's going to be your fixture count demand, not the 250 lecture seating. You'll have more than enough.
Okay, because I think there were 2 upstairs.
Yes,
there's
that's
two
correct. There's
upstairs.
group restrooms upstairs as well. Well,
Okay.
there's one group restroom upstairs, right there.
Okay, so this building is so large, I saw one deficiency.
Just one?
Yeah, just one
All right.
deficiency. There's no transportation system inside here to get from one end to the other.
We could insert some escalators and some of those movable sidewalks like you have at the airport if you'd like.
That's going to be a long walk.
I'm going to need more money, though.
Yeah, it's going to be a long walk. One of those, you're right, one of those walking floors that moves, that would be great. This is awesome, totally.
Thank you.
Young kids.
Thank you.
Yes, love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pena. Ms. Solons.
Thank you, President Hogg. Mr. Harris, when we set out with a strategic plan, not from just this board or not from just from this district, from the entire community on what we wanted, and it came to the apparent was to inspire learners. It is clear from this presentation this evening that your study of our strategic plan is clear, and so it is of the entire team from that's brought this forth. I want to take a moment to thank AISD voters, because we took an idea of what we thought the district could do and could be, and we had many, many discussions about how to integrate learning in new ways, and AISD voters made it clear that that was what they wanted, and I think they'll be very proud of this work this evening. But the biggest winner of all is the students, and then their students, and then those grandchildren's students, because this is indeed a cycle breaker, because it is a building that will index wages higher for generations after generations, building a stronger economy, certainly a safety net for our students. And I know it came after many, many years of dreams that we knew that we would like to provide some type of environment like this. This is, once again, as I often tell the Fine Arts Department, you have an idea of what it could be, and they bring something that's just even so much more than it would, and such is the case again tonight. Mr. Hibbs, you talked about all the board members, but I want to make sure that we talk about your relentless insistence that all kids have an opportunity to go to college or career, or both. So I'd like to thank you for your relentless insistence that students have access to all types of learning environments. And when I joined this board, we started learning more about career tech. There was someone that I spoke with, Craig Wright, and said, what could it be? What could it be, and what are the obstacles, and what are the pathways? And there's so many people in here this evening to thank for your collective work in the video. Just highlights it so much. But I want to thank Craig Wright. Thank you for your thousands of hours that you spent making CTE work despite lacking resources. And I do have a question for you, Mr. Wright, and I have one also for you, Mr. Harris. So here we are. What do you think? Is this what you hoped it could be?
It's spectacular. Working with VOK, I can't say enough positive things about them. Y'all giving us the opportunity, and every time my staff works, we spent, we're still running the normal things we ran, and work with them and do this. And every time we'll finish, we dedicate a lot of hours. Every Friday we meet and talk, and it always comes. The conversation comes around. What a great time to be a kid in Arlington. Ginger Polster has kids in the district, and she talks. Her ninth grader talks about that. So it's these sitting ninth graders will be seniors. And when we had the kids in the workshops we did, we talked about their various things. And at the end, I said, "What do y'all think, man? Would you want to go to a building like this?" Every single, yeah. They were juniors and seniors, so they weren't going to get to, but unanimously, and they weren't shy about saying how excited they were about a facility like this. So.
Well, Mr. Wright, let me assure you that your seal of approval on this speaks volumes with all of us, because we know the depth of your involvement with CTE and the number of lives you've already led to great careers through CTE. So I'm very excited to see this next step. So it's just exponential opportunity. But Mr. Harris, one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Beautiful facility, but what we know is that programs are going to be changing, that things that we need to teach today may be drastically different just in a few years. Can you talk to me about how this facility could be adaptable to meet future needs?
Absolutely. Everything that you see in the vocational, what I'll call the vocational side, that's got the tall volume, these are just big boxes. So what defines these spaces of is the equipment that's going in these boxes. That can be changed out. For example, your construction assembly laboratory, what we're using to develop the construction models that they'll be using as curriculum in here might be different in 15 years. What's important is that you have the space, you have the electricity service, you have the technology service to that space to support that evolving equipment. Same thing with the other large spaces. Everything here is for the most part, gyp wall partitions.
That's outstanding. That's
So-
a lot of territory that's adaptable to meet
Exactly.
future needs.
Right.
Outstanding.
And it's expandable. Right.
Absolutely, and we've already planned for future expansion.
Thank you, Mr. Harris.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you being here this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Solons. Dr. Rush.
Thank you. Well, Mr. Harris, this is a very good thing. In the design meeting, you all did a great job in presenting, and we asked many questions, and you responded very well. This is going to be the economic redevelopment engine for East Arlington, I believe, for that entire community. This is a game changer. It's for the district as well as for the community, impacting many lives, children and adults alike. I'm excited to find, when you have it, the seating capacity for events. And I'm looking at the bistro space alone, and it seems like that's probably 70 just there in those rounds. So if we take that entire corridor, that's probably quite a lot of rounds all the way across.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that, and I guess you'll have to do some add-on looks at probably the way I'm looking at this, probably 3 drop screens for video and audio and all that. And I know Mr. Hogg was joking about the Omni, but just so everybody knows, they really are going to look at LED type lighting to change at the night. Not to the Omni scale, but it really is going to reinvigorate that area and help with the economic development. It's very exciting. It's very forward thinking. The events that will be able to happen there in touch with the community is wonderful. The opportunities for the children are just second to none. And this is, I guess, my segue. I'd like Mr. Wright to come up. First off, Mr. Wright, please introduce your group that's here tonight.
Thank you very much. These guys work relentlessly. We have one who is home nursing a family member. Ginger Polster is our coordinator in our office. Michelle Woodall is new to us last year, has really added to our dynamic. She does our newsletters that you see. Tim Thompson's been with us several years, and Tim does our computer genius. And Jeff Krieger just came to us, 3-4 months ago? October. So Jeff was a teacher here, and then he went to Kennedale's assistant principal, high school, and now he's back with us, and we're glad to have him. And these guys, they really carry the ball. I'm like Sloan, I get to stand here and talk, and they don't do all the work, I do some, but they do a ton of work, and they really take care of us, and very glad to have worked with them, very fortunate.
You guys have an incredible team. You've done incredible work. When I first ran for this board, career in tech was absolutely one of my platforms. And to go from then to now to what we're going to have in this district, it's just wonderful. Focusing on the children, because that's what it's all about. In our planning meetings, we talked about the capacity of how many children that this will be able to hold throughout the day. Can you provide the full board some of that information, as well as the purpose of the bond, besides the function of this building, was to also relieve pressure and overcrowding at our high schools. So if you could talk about all that, how many seats we're going to be able to do here, and the pressure it will relieve from our high schools, because that's really important.
That's the first question, Marcelo. We're going to do this, and we need to pull kids out of the building, and we want to have this exciting program. And he wanted to be, how many can we do? So we went right back, and we started actually working like a master schedule. What would it be like, and how many kids could we serve, and would be or the big interest. Our big fear was, if we build it, will they come? And now we're thinking we'll be expanding pretty soon. I mean, it's exciting. So we think, keep in mind now, my numbers I'm going to talk about are at 100% capacity, which we know that's a little, but the seats in the building, we could serve 923 students a period, different faces per period.
Mm-hmm.
And so some courses like cosmetology, what's worked out really nice is the kids will go all day A day, and then a different group comes all day B day. It's very helpful. We know where they are, their parents know where they are, assistant principals know where they are. So that's worked very successfully. So those seats in that room won't turn over 4 times in a day. The same 50 kids will be there all day. So you would get 50 kids out of those seats, where this seat may turn to a different child every period. We take all that into consideration. We think we can serve about 2,300 kids per day on an A day, different faces, and then 2,300 different faces on a B day. So if you back that off with that 95% capacity, you're still, So we were very, very pleased. We did a lot of work. We look back sometimes at the work we've done. We went through a lot of processes to come up with those numbers, and I was very, very nervous about it at first, and now we're feeling more and more comfortable that we think it'll be full within 3 years. So,
isn't that fantastic? I really wanted everybody to hear that. It's just amazing. It's just amazing. And that comes to, I think we discussed at least 350, if we divided every campus evenly, at least 350, probably 400 kids per day that will be here instead of at the campus.
In a meeting, we were talking with the high school principals. I was apologizing that I didn't think that was enough. And they know how many seats that is, how many classrooms that is. And they were saying, great, they were appreciative that they thought this would be a help to them. And I was very glad to hear that, because I was worried we hadn't done enough, but they were appreciative and they thought that would help them.
So I just really wanted the board to hear that, because not only is that this going to be such a game changer for the students here, it's going to provide such a greater level of opportunity at the home campuses and what they're going to be able to do with their instructional design and facility design. It hits on so many levels. So thank you, Craig. Thank you, team, architects. This is wonderful.
And Javier, I don't want to forget Javier and Richard Flores, our staff attorneys, and Bob. Yes. Bob's guys, they provide the guiding hand if we get too far out of the box. They live with the reality, so they've really helped us.
Yeah. Very good.
So thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you, Dr. Reich. And as you mentioned, hey, with the right corporate sponsor, we'll put any kind of lighting on that outside right there. So whoever wants to fund it, I'm more than willing to bring it as a motion. But I'm just kidding on that a little bit, somewhat. So let me ask you something. As I was on the committee and we went through this, I did have one question, and Mr. Barron, you brought it up, a good point. That Oleander Drive, those are all backyards, so those are not houses pulling in to their driveways. I think that's an important factor. I know there's potential possibility of expanding Oleander Street to potentially go all the way down. Is that fire tower course far enough south so that if that street was expanded, that could still be the case?
Yes, it is.
So then the other question I'd ask, the only comparison I have of fire tower course is the one in West Arlington, the one in College Station, where all the fire training goes. With the tower being on that north side, is that any kind of issue that we're going to face with the residents that live in that area?
I don't think so.
I just spatially, I don't know how close that is.
Certainly not spatially. What we want to do is make sure that, and this is the next step of design development, from a code standpoint, given the functions that they're going to be doing there with fire training exercises, I want to make sure that we're in accordance with city code there. We've already had our first pre-development meeting with the city of Arlington, including the fire marshal, so they're aware of everything that we're doing here. Talk about, I've never seen a city staff more excited about a project when we've come to a pre-development meeting.
And that fire tower, one thing I think that's important to note, is that going to be similar to the one that the city
Yes.
the AFD has? So I guess I would ask, and maybe that's the discussion with the fire department as we get in, should there be something a little different? Because students can use both of those to offer our firefighters more training and our students more training on if we need to partner with the fire department. Sometimes there are different environments of those kind of towers they work on. I think it's worth a discussion with AFD to say, hey, listen, you guys already have a pretty nice fire tower. Could we duplicate that? And I don't know enough about firefighting to know if there's even the case. I'm thinking through ideas in my brain.
Well, one of the things is it's not at the same scale as the one.
Okay, it's not.
The
Okay,
city. There's a component to it that's similar.
Okay.
The tower part, but it's not nearly the
It's not the
same.
5-story or
No.
whatever that one is.
Well, the tower is 4-story, if I recall. Right, it doesn't have the
gotcha.
burn lab.
Okay.
So its overall area is not nearly as large as the one at the city.
I trust our chief of fire to know what he needs to develop that, but I just, anytime we can partner with the city and offer more programs that they both can utilize, as on the weekends, if we're not utilizing and they need more firefighter training, by all means, that can be done.
I believe that's the goal.
Perfect. Sloan and your whole team, thank you so much. As someone who served on the committee, I'll make a motion. Dr. Reich, go right ahead. One.
Sorry, we talked about career and tech, and I don't want us to overlook the technology. And just for a moment, if we could have Mr. Branham come up and ask that same simple question to him as far as meeting the needs of the technology holding and infrastructure and talent for the district. What do you think?
I think it's awesome. I guess we're very fortunate to have the opportunity to be a part of this facility. And, we see great value in the partnership and being able to involve the students in the process as well, in internships and in involvement with various aspects of the technology program. So they've done a great job. Initially, we were a little concerned about the location of that, but with the reinforcement of the walls and through the conversations and the design, I think there are zero concerns. And we are just super excited to get going.
Good. Good. But better than what you've got right now, maybe?
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Part of this project is to consolidate what we have into a central data center for the district, and we'll have the opportunity to do it the right way across the board from start to finish, and really provide the replication and redundancy that we really need to provide the services across the district.
Increased efficiency and effectiveness combined.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Perfect.
That's
Thank
all.
you, Dr.
Thank you.
Reich. I thought he was in with, yes, it's a good thing. So, Mr. Barron, real quick.
Yes, it's a good thing. I see this building with all of its assets and its functionality as absolutely increasing daily attendance, increasing graduation rate, because I can't imagine a student who's supposed to be there not doing everything he can to get there.
You can answer,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Wassel.
So, thank you, Mr. Barron, for that segue. Also, part of this that will come in later discussions, but that this is also a K-12 alignment, and that our students, our younger students, elementary and junior high, have some experience in this facility, whether it's to visit or to take classes or summer activities and things like that. This opens up a whole possibility, and Ms. Sullins, you mentioned this, for years to come for students, and to inspire them to go to those technical programs and those specialized programs. And so I think that's a huge opportunity. We don't spend much time tonight talking about that part of it, but it is a K-12 alignment. And yes, Mr. Barron, including increasing their effectiveness in the classroom, their participation, their engagement, their graduation, et cetera, that's all part of the interdependency here.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Barron. VLK and team, thank you so much. It's we may never get through the rest of these presentations with y'all with this much excitement over a building, but I think it's well deserved. So at this time, I'd love to make a motion approving the schematic design for the Career and Tech Center. Coming from committee, it is coming from committee. We don't need a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. 7 trustees present, 7 trustees voting in the affirmative. Thank you. The big step of the schematic design is done, so now start the process, as you said, Mr. Harris, for the design. Thank you to the entire team. Thank you so much for your work this evening. And to our entire CTE team, thank you.
Yes.
I wasn't going to forget him, Dr. Rush. Next, we'll move on to consent agenda items. Are there items to be withdrawn from the consent agenda this evening? Ms. Mays. Ms. Mays.
I would like to pull, where are we? Okay, I would like to pull the RFP 1479, the architect selection for the 2014 bond program.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Mays. Any other items to be pulled? Seeing none, Ms. Powell, please share information this evening.
Great. President Hogg, board members, Dr. Cavazos, we are presenting for your consideration this evening now 6 bids. In all cases, the administration recommends the lowest bids and the bids that represent the best value to the district. We also are pleased to announce that our schools have received donations totaling $26,082 since our last report, and that brings our year-to-date total to $600,273.
Perfect. Thank you, Ms. Powell. We thank their community for the generosity. It's always amazing what they continue to give to us every year. At this time, is there a motion to accept the consent agenda without item 1479?
I move we accept the consent agenda as read.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hibbs. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Hibbs and a second by Mr. Reich to accept the consent agenda minus item 1479. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. 7 trustees present, 7 trustees vote in the affirmative. We have an approved consent agenda item. Next, we'll move on to item 1479. Ms. Mays.
I just wanted an opportunity, Cindy, for you to be able to kind of explain what this is, the process that it is, once again, just for me, for full transparency for our bond program.
Sure. This RFQ was issued last summer, and it was for architectural design services for the construction projects in phases 1 and 2 of the bond program. In August, we came to the board and we recommended 12 architecture firms for the projects that are scheduled, phases 1 and 2. We told the board at that time that there were 2 other bid packages that we would be bringing back at a later date once we completed negotiations on the fees with our selected architect, the one that we had identified as the most qualified for the particular projects. The projects include the deficiency and life cycle replacement work at the PDC, and also a package that includes life cycle replacements and deficiency work at 3 elementary schools, Foster, Moore, and Wood, and included with those will be construction of 2 science labs and a strings room at each of those schools. And so we had identified KAI Architects as the most qualified firm for that work, and we've completed negotiations. The fees are very much in line with the fees from the award we brought in August for the other firms.
Okay, that's sufficient. Thank you, Cindy.
Perfect. Ms. Mays, if you'd like, then please make a motion.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we approve RFQ 1479.
Perfect. We have a motion
Second.
to approve 1479 by Ms. Mays, a second by Mr. Barron. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. All trustees present, all trustees. It's item 4, just, Ms. Mays, you mean item just for, item 1479.
Yes, thank you. RFP for item 1479.
Perfect. Thank you. And it's just a clarification. It's not RFP it's 1479 RFP architect
And it's an
selection.
RFQ, right. Request for qualifications.
Ms. Pallett says RFP architect. Are you sure it's RFQ?
The package that was issued was an RFQ, request for qualifications.
Okay. Ms. Mays, was that what your motion was?
That's absolutely what
Okay,
it
perfect.
was.
Thank you. Any clarification from board members? Seeing none. Thank you. Next, we'll move on to discussion, 2014 bond program update. Dr. Cavazos.
Thank you, President Hogg, and as part of almost every board meeting, we provide an update. You've heard a large part of that update for the bond, but we wanted to also update in the area of fine arts. And so, Ms. Powell, you'll start this presentation.
And that is pretty much the introduction here. We've spent a tremendous amount of time preparing schematic designs, working on floor plans of various projects with our architects, and you've seen the results of that work in the last couple of meetings. And so tonight we want to highlight one of the other areas in the bond program, and that would be the fine arts program. The bond package includes $9.8 million for instruments and repairs. Also, we include funds in the bond program for a fine arts center, and also, as you've seen this evening with the schematic designs, funding for the fine arts and dual language academies. And then separate from that, there's funding inside of the deficiency packages for constructing one acoustically appropriate strings room at each of our elementary schools. So there's a lot going on in the bond package throughout all of our schools affecting fine arts. We would like to bring our Fine Arts Director, Jeremy Earnhardt, this evening to give us an update, an overview of that work and an update on where we are with that work.
Technology can slow us down.
Thank you, Mr. Earnhardt. We're looking forward.
President Hogg, members of the board, Dr. Cavazos, thank you so much for this opportunity to provide an update for fine arts through the lens of the bond program. It has been 17 months since I had the pleasure to be with you, and we're going to go over every day since the last time. So here we go. Fine arts programs increase the bang for your educational buck. We've got high potential student-teacher ratios. They're required in Texas in junior high and high school, so how you organize them is going to have a direct impact on the district's bottom line to help increase attendance, graduation rates, and test scores. In other words, fine arts is a high-yield investment in our students, schools, and community. Supporting student success. The district is here for academic achievement. We just feel, and we will show, that fine arts is a great way to help kids matriculate through the system and give them a fantastic aesthetic experience in addition. Back to the mission, vision, and goals, AISD will be a high-performing, technology-rich school district with leading-edge learning experiences that promote engagement, creativity, critical thinking, and achievement. We think that this is where we come in. Access, excellence, and innovation are 3 words that were used by the superintendent of schools at our convocation this August. We have taken that charge under the banner of the 2014 bond program, and I think you're going to be very pleased with some of the updates we have to share with you. We'll have some recent celebrations from across the district. We'll have a research and data share, bold new initiatives under the bond banner, as well as a high ROI. Recently at the University Interscholastic League marching band contest, last year we had 4 of our 6 high schools that achieved a 2nd division. This year we had 5 of our 6 receiving a 1st division. The data is going the right way, and we thank you for some of the program changes that you allowed for us to create. Recent celebrations, the Texas Music Educators Association, we had 2 groups this year, young junior high school young men, as well as the Martin Orchestra, and I'd certainly be remiss if I did not thank Vice President Sullins and as well as board members Gloria Pena and Peter Barron for being in attendance that day with, of course, Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Marcelo Cavazos, to celebrate that day. We have also been designated again as an outstanding community and music education for the 2014-2015 school year. Strong fine arts programs increase the bang for educational buck. High potential student. Okay, we'll prove it. Students of the arts consistently outperform their non-arts peers on the Scholastic Aptitude Test. This data from the College Board shows that students with 4 years of fine arts study will consistently outperform by 11 to 12%. PEIMS data from across the state demonstrate that higher graduation rates are consistently reported with higher fine arts enrollment. Basically, if you'd like to get into the upper 90s of anything good, you're going to need to have a secondary enrollment in fine arts of 60% or greater. Recently, in the Journal of Neuroscience, I'd just like to document that this is not a colorful music magazine that comes to my home. This is a peer-reviewed journal. Older adults benefit from music training early in life. Bottom line, that is to say, years of consistent music study has been shown to have a significant effect on brain function even after a 3-decade gap in participation. You're not going to find that in a TAPR report, okay? But we know this to be true. So, in other words, Trustee Pena, those years playing the tuba and the sousaphone, still helping you today. Music enrichment programs improve the neural encoding of speech in at-risk children, and the Cliffs Notes there state that Instrumental music has now been shown to close the neurological gap between children of poverty and their more privileged peers. One of the things I love about serving in this school district is that we are a data-driven decision district. We're also very cognizant of the most current literature and research. This next 1-minute video clip is from Dr. Eric Jensen, who is a leading expert in both poverty and arts education.
Arts are rare because what they do is they provide real key pieces to building our brains what I call operating system. Like your computer's got an operating system that helps enable everything else on it. It's your platform on your computer. Your brain needs a way to operate. What arts do is they build that fundamental platform in the brain. They build the skills, they build the ability to defer gratification, they build love of learning, they give kids a reason to come to school, they give kids something to focus on every day that they love to do. They build the skills of practice. In other words, the transferable life skills that kids need in life, they get those from arts. And you can't get those from anything else at school. And families, whether their kids are coming from poverty or who grow up in middle-class families or upper-class families, arts work miracles for everybody. And finally, we have the scientific evidence to show, to demonstrate with clear evidence that arts build a better brain.
AISD proportion of economically disadvantaged students, 7 out of 10. While at the same time, we would wish for 100% of students to be actively involved in extracurricular and co-curricular activities. Supporting student success, we're going to figure out a way to get this done. Last year, we added staff where it was required, specifically in strings and in choir. We reorganized beginning band instruction based on our November 7th board meeting, and again, thank you. We removed the barriers. This August, we removed the instrument usage fee across the district, equal access to instrumental music education for every single one of our students in the Arlington ISD. And of course, as part of the bond package, $9.8 million in band and orchestra instruments and uniforms to help promote access. New initiatives under the 2014 bond banner. We've got the Fine Arts Dual Language Academies, the Fine Arts Center, 1 strings room per elementary school, as well as those instruments and uniforms. So here's how it breaks down. We've got our 2 academies opening with a kinder cohort in 2015. I think we had a good 45 minutes about that earlier. This is where core content is delivered through dual language. Schools of choice, admission by application, general music, visual art, dance, drama, and piano. We have our Fine Arts Center, which will be coming online in 2018. And the broad strokes on that now is a 2,500-seat concert hall. We'll have gallery space purposefully designed throughout so that visual art is embedded and not as an afterthought into the spaces throughout the facility. Classroom space with virtual learning and an instrument CTE program. So basically you've got 3 things. You've got your concert hall, we've got our classroom space all throughout in the style of our magnificent CTE center where we're going to be able to academy upper level arts programs, some that have yet to be invented because we have not had the opportunity. As well as the program in instrument repair, which I'll address in just a second. We are developing a framework currently for dual credit and concurrent credit opportunities, university credit for our students in the fine arts, as well as a partnership for coursework and internships in instrument repair leading to an industry certificate. I must mention that these 2 ideas, concepts that we are bringing to fruition under Dr. Cavazos' help and vision through with industry and with higher ed, these will be the first of their kind in the United States of America. 1 strings room per elementary campus, acoustically appropriate learning environment. We are currently working with staff to develop those standards. And last but not least are our instruments and uniforms to help promote access. Just for your knowledge, we'll cover quickly uniform life cycle and instrument needs. Drill team uniforms are on a 5-year rotation, so each of our 6 schools will receive a new set every 5 years. Plus, as well, we are increasing in enrollment, and we have accounted for that in the bond program. Marching band uniforms also on an 8-year rotation, and again have accounted for program growth. So, for example, Sam Houston that received new uniforms last year out of the previous bond program, we are assuming that there are going to be another 100 students at Sam Houston, and that money has already been allocated for. This is not money, it's funds, it's funding, is it funds? Thank you. I'm just a fine arts guy. This is why I have Cindy Powell next to me all the time. For your knowledge, For our instrument needs, we develop in January, February a catalog of instruments and other capital items. We get those bids submitted around March. Teachers do a needs assessment, and I would just like to highlight that this is very campus-based, very teacher-driven, what those needs are on the campuses. We then approve those requests, and then for the start of school, you have children with instruments in their hands. And it is worth noting that that happens on a cycle annually, and we have that allocated for throughout the life of the bond program to hit some target numbers, which we'll address within the next 2 minutes and 30 seconds is all the longer that this is going to take. Current elementary program enrollment, we see our numbers for general music and visual art as well as strings. And that number, as we know, Dr. Reich, means nothing until we see another number, so that's coming, don't worry. We have experienced a 21% increase in 5th and 6th grade strings enrollment year to year, 13-14 to 14-15. Intuitively, why is that? We're promoting access. We removed that instrument barrier, fee barrier, and we have the instruments to provide the students. 7th grade band enrollment. You recall last year we had a little bit of a program change. So 2013-14, we see our total enrollment across the school district, and we see that there's a significant difference year to year. We'd just like to highlight, for example, Hutchinson Junior High, 47 last year, 122 enrolled this year. This isn't rocket science. Give them the instrument, give them a great teacher, let's get them through the system. So we experienced a 54% increase in enrollment. Secondary visual arts, 8% increase. Good job, Mr. Lin Win. I would be remiss if I did not mention the work here of the team here. There's Mr. Lin Win right there, visual arts coordinator, and Mr. Rob Myers, fine arts coordinator. Ladies and gentlemen. They just said, as long as we don't have to be on TV. I said, you know. Secondary performing arts enrollment, band, choir, orchestra, theater, dance, and drill team. The numbers are going in the right direction for each one of those. We're servicing about another 1,000 students, 7 to 12, for about a 14% increase in those programs year to year. You put it all together, and in secondary fine arts total, we have a 9.3 increase in enrollment for access for students to high-quality fine arts programs year to year. We take that as a percentage of the AISD enrollment as a whole, with the elementary and the secondary put together, and that number equates to 72%. So Cindy Powell, there's a website that I use that has, you could put a number in and you put another number in, and it tells you what that percentage is. So that's where that came from. Dance, theater, and visual art are at healthful participation levels. There's much more room in band, choir, and orchestra. The access that we're providing now, which was identified as a barrier, is being addressed. So quickly, we know we have the 9.8 million. We are having access, excellence, and innovation. Here's some innovation for you. Let's remove that instrument usage fee. Let's get these kids in these programs. So our target enrollments right now for high school band are 300 across the school district. If you take our current and then you have a delta, is that what it's called, Dr. I think it's a delta on the end, is a change. Then we go all the way down to 778. That's how many more students with current staff we have the ability to provide services for that program. Also for choir, 336 bottom line, and for high school orchestra, 522 bottom line. So promoting access will help these students while also providing system-wide economic enhancement, because with current staff, we're able to fill those programs, creating staff in other places to be used in other ways. In other words, expanding school music equals a high return on investment, may result in improved attendance, graduation rate, and test scores. It's a high yield investment in our student, school, and community. I will click win, win, win. Basically, we've covered our Fine Arts Dual Language Academies, our Fine Arts Center, 1 strings room per elementary school, as well as instruments and uniforms. Through the 2014 AISD bond program, we are not just building and buying. We're creating programs. We're helping students through access, excellence, and innovation. We are, in fact, creating a completely unique K-12 fine arts experience available only in the Arlington ISD. Strong fine arts programs increase the bang for your educational buck. High potential student-teacher ratios required in Texas and junior high and high school. They help increase attendance, graduation rate, and test scores. Bottom line, fine arts is a high-yield investment in our students, schools, and community. And I thank you.
Yeah, there we go. That's a presentation.
President Hogg, I was expecting him to drop that mic. You deserve to.
You know, if I didn't think you guys were going to praise it, I'd be like, no questions, move on. That's awesome. But the rest of you need to step up your game on presentations. So, Cindy, I don't know how you're going to do it with finance, but I'll be. Jeremy's officially just going to be titled presentation, head of presentations around here. So I may send you out to talk to the rest of my sales guys I work with and say, watch this guy do presentations. That's what you need to do. Thank you, Mr. Earnhardt. Mr. Hibbs.
How do you follow that? I mean, you know, I really want us to make sure that we have 2 presentations from Fine Arts twice a year. I mean, and I would also like to make sure, and this is in all seriousness, I'd like to have that for athletics too, because you're 2 of our driving factors within our district. You need to sit down with Kevin Ozzie to figure out how you can teach him to do these
you
type
have upped
of
the game on Mr. Ozzie
presentations.
Right there.
It's going to be a hard one to follow, but Jeremy, I think that people might be saying that you were drinking the same water I was drinking when you spent time in my old hometown. He used to teach in the same place I used to grow, where I grew up in. I will tell you, what you have in your slides, that needs to get out to our community. The successes that you had in doubling the size of the band at Carter at junior high needs to get out into that community. The growth that you had at Hutchinson needs to get out to that community. I mean, that is unbelievable numbers. And especially as we're signing up people now for their schedules for next year, parents need to know that access. Obviously, you were getting that message out. That's why our people are, you know, and it doubled. But I would tell you, get that message out. That message that we were once again chosen as one of the best fine arts communities in the nation, not in the area, in the nation. Let's get that message out. That's what people come to Arlington ISD for. And it's because of your great team. I mean, it's y'all's great team. Len, you've been here a long time. You've been driving this horse. Jeremy, what you guys are doing, your team, I just applaud you. I mean, you guys are the best of the best. There's just no doubt. You guys are the best of the best. Even your critics have to say, you're the best of the best. So I would tell you, get that message out. Get that message out. Allow our community to celebrate what this district is doing, okay?
I would just need to mention that it's a systems approach that allows for these things to happen. People, how did you get this? This was what could happen. This is what was desired to happen. This is what, when we sit in staffing with area superintendents and et cetera, HR, we got the finance piece. This is very interrelated. When I was filling out my Studer forms, who's responsible for this? And I was running out of space. So thank you.
Well, Jeremy, let me put in one more thing. You said just a minute ago, and this is from a business community. Every 45 days, I get my salespeople to, I encourage them, how are you going to move your needle? You said something a few minutes ago that just, I love to hear. At Sam Houston, we anticipate, we expect that we're going to grow that program by another 100 students. You mentioned that a minute ago. I mean, not, we hope, we're going to grow that program by, that's the approach that we take. because we know that there's kids that are wanting to be involved, and you're showing them an opportunity. So, I mean, just continue that. I mean, continue with that excitement.
See the, I'm sorry, I turned off my mic. You look around this room and you just see this artwork. You see the what kids are doing in one-act plays and everything else. This is some good stuff.
Thank you, Mr. Hibbs. Ms. Pena.
I really personally would like to thank this board for giving more children opportunity. And I say this having been one of those socially, economically disadvantaged students who was in fine arts. And I don't know, it was like magic. My instrument fee was paid, my band uniform rental was paid, and later came to find out that my band director was paying those fees on my behalf because he knew that I was in a family that could not afford it otherwise. And that's how I got to the tuba, because I was really playing the clarinet, and he asked for volunteers since I couldn't do private lessons. My hand went up because it was a guaranteed first chair and marching band. So the hand went up. I'm doing it. And now you all know why I think big. But I thank the board for giving that opportunity for all the children to be able to do that. And that's why I think our numbers are increasing, because the significance, my concern in what I saw in the 7th grade enrollment that you showed for 2013 to 2015 is almost in some of these areas doubled. So are we at capacity in some of these? Not yet? Great. The other concern, we removed those barriers for students in band and orchestra. And you said the words that were used was the accessibility. Access has been identified as an issue and is being addressed for band, choir, and orchestra. Well, I think we've kind of, band and orchestra, taken care of those by doing those two factors. In choir, however, I know that in high school, since my daughter was in the choir in high school, we had to pay for her to have a dress made for her, $100. Now, well, to some that may not, and I asked her to donate it back to the school for a child who couldn't afford it, and we did that with all her uniforms and dance costumes and everything, because we wanted the next child to have an opportunity. So there's $100 there that can't be afforded. How are we allowing them to get that black dress that they have to have? I mean, I know my daughter's donating hers back, so that might help, one child. In drill team, I know I spent up to $1,500 a year for her to be in drill team for all the things she had to have. And she was instrumental in helping create a dancer's closet at Martin High School so that to encourage other girls to donate back any costumes they had so that other children could have that opportunity as well. Those are two big areas and very expensive areas that luckily we could afford for her, but what about the other children? What are we doing to address those two specific areas that I know about?
Specifically, we'll work in reverse order. For the drill teams, we are providing drill team uniforms for each of our students. They're on a 5-year rotation, so those are being purchased now through the bond fund. Through 2009 and continuing through the 2014 bond fund. To speak to the choir, we are also providing uniforms, and this is something I neglected to mention because I just didn't want to get too long. We have also provided for uniforms grades 7 through 12 so that our junior high students will have first class, world class tuxedos, dresses, and be incredibly presentable without the burden of, hey, go to Al's formal wear and go get you something. Well, we just know that in some cases, in many, many cases, in fact, as the data show, in probably 70% of the cases, that's not going to occur.
Well, I noticed that the Boles students, they looked awesome. I loved what they were wearing, and so I assumed that we were doing that for that grade level. I was more worried about the high school level. And I know you're talking about drill team uniforms, but there's more to drill team than just the uniforms we provide. If they want to make a better grade, they have to participate in UIL activities where they do dance competitions and so on. That's where the money comes out of the parents' pocket. And they can't compete unless they have those costumes. And then the costumes are designed specifically to fit the body of the child in question, or they get to pick one that's out of a book, and then the parent pays for it. And that's where I'm saying the $1,500 comes in, or specific dance shoes, or specific, whatever. The Booster Club, fortunately, does a lot of work that helps to pay for some of the other activities. And as a parent, I worked in the concession stands at the ballpark to help make a lot of that money as well. But some of the parents can't even do that to help earn funds for their child because they're busy working, these other jobs, 2 and 3 jobs at a time. So those are the students that I would like to focus on, is the students that can't get that, and how can we provide some assistance so that they have the same opportunities.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Pena. Ms. Solons.
Thank you, President Hogg. And to think that there are entire states that are cutting arts out of their curriculum. Can you imagine what a loss that if we did not have this access, because art is, as you prove it, is education. And I noticed that in the end, you talk about 70% of our students are economically disadvantaged and 72% participate in arts. What a great outlook that we have for our students. We have, in the last 17 months, so this is where we've come in 17 months. With a team approach, I appreciate that, although your leadership is outstanding, and so is the leadership of the Lynn Wynn and everyone else in fine arts. The great gains we have so far, I'm interested in how we're going to sustain the trend, because we have some great new tools coming on that should increase participation, art through the bond program. Could you talk to me about sustaining the trend so that more students graduate art literate?
Absolutely. I think that what has been embedded into the design of the 2014 bond program, and we'll just take it, let's go back to that Sam Houston example again, where we are planning on there being at least another 100 students. So as far as the capital items that are required for that number of students to participate, that is included in the design of the bond program. And we know that we have the staff currently to be able to service that number of students. And I think that specifically for the performing arts, that's where those high potential student-teacher ratios really come in. As we can fit an awful lot of students on a football field as first chairs. Right. And we plan to be able to continue to do that. I hope that gets to the sustainability.
It does, and just another area that I'm just interested in is that the art exploration for special education students, whether it's music or visual arts or so forth, and that may be something we can talk about in another presentation on another day. Or
sure, absolutely, and as you know, in terms of Big Rocks, there'll be some conversations there, I'm sure, with Dr. Kennedy and friends coming up shortly.
Mr. Earnhardt, outstanding, outstanding, outstanding. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Solons. Ms. Mays.
Thank you very much, and I will make this very simple, but we do this, we've spent money on this, we think that it's great for the district, but I know that we all agree that in all, it's because we believe in our students. We believe that if they're given the access and the opportunity, they're going to excel, they're going to succeed. So I just want to make sure that we reiterate that we believe in our students, and that's why we're doing it. And I think if we continue to send our students that message, they're going to naturally excel and exceed. So thank you for that belief. Thank you for your vision. All three of y'all, thank you for your vision for that. Also, I want to say thank you to all the fine arts teachers that have hung in there. I remember sitting on committees several years ago and actually visiting with orchestra and band instructors that were showing us instruments where we were going, people put their mouth on that? I mean, literally. So I appreciate, and once again, the fact that they were able to do what they did and help our students shine with such minimal, I just can't imagine how big it's going to grow now. So thanks to the fine arts teachers that's stuck in there and are now allowing us to say, hey, you are just as important as any other teacher in the classroom, because it's still all about the student as a whole. So thank you.
I would just Lego on top of that, that the teacher perspective cannot be understated. There's a saying in our world that for like a podium, it's the person on the box. It's that teacher talent that ultimately is going to get things done at the end of the day. And I will share with you, and I would like to say thank you to the board for allowing us to actualize this portion of the strategic plan in such a way that last May, when these discussions were happening, those teachers felt very valued. So thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Miss. Dr. Rush.
I have asked our superintendent to take your presentation out of this streaming clip to put as its own on the website. This is definitely worthy to stand on its own, and I have one suggestion. I like the title, I guess, but you said something during your presentation, not just building and buying or buying and building. I think that's what that presentation should be called. Oh, there it was. Not just building and buying. That sums it up. Thank you very much.
I don't think we've had many presentations go viral of a video, but I'm going to splice this so I can get 5 million YouTube hits from Mr. Earnhardt. So with that kind of presentation about fine arts, I'll have you at every conference around the country with that. So thank you so much. We see your passion, and that means a lot. This whole board and this whole senior staff is committed to fine arts. Every single one of us up here, whether we were that reject of a cello player as I was, you still have the love for fine arts, and we all know what it can do and the power it has. And all 7 of us up here, all 8, including Dr. Cavazos, believe in it, and we appreciate your passion. It means a lot to us and the whole staff. So thank you, both all you guys and every single arts teacher that's in the district. Thank you so much. Next, we'll move on to Ms. Powell. You should have worked on this agenda to not go after. I know Dr. Cavazos and I build the agendas, but we did not think this through, putting the legislative update after Jeremy Earnhardt. So
this is going to be so exciting.
Yeah, we go from Ms. Powell. I'm just going to apologize. We go from.
I need my drum line back.
Yeah. You did have the drum line. That was a good one.
Yeah.
But talking about our 84th legislative session, I think is invigorating as anything. So with that, do you want to, Ms. Powell, please let us know what's happening in the 84th.
Great. All right. Well, thank you, President Hogg, board members, Dr. Cavazos, and I will have to say to Mr. Earnhardt, you don't really even have to go to the internet to figure those percentages. Right here on your phone, there's a calculator, and I'll show you how to use that. All right, this will be very brief. We just wanted to give an update on where things are with the 84th legislative session. This board adopted a legislative agenda, and that agenda had 3 overarching objectives, and they included local control, preservation of the provisions of HB 5, which was passed in the last session. As we all know, that was the bill that significantly changed graduation requirements for our students. And then also relief from unfunded mandates. In our legislative agenda, we have items in 4 broad categories, including accountability and assessment, school finance, school choice, and pre-K. So as of today, we are over halfway through the legislative session. There are 60 days left. The session will adjourn on June the 1st. And Friday, March 13th was the last day to file bills, and as you can see from this chart, we've had a total of 6,171 bills filed. That's 300, more than 300 more than last session, and so you can see kind of the trend over the last 4 sessions now as to how many bills have been filed. Moat Casey and Associates, a legislative consulting firm that tracks school district legislation and helps us all understand it. They are tracking 1,024 bills right now on our behalf. In particular, I'm going to highlight just several bills in those different categories, one being in accountability and assessment. Senate Bill 6 would actually change the current rating nomenclature. You know, we had exemplary, recognized, acceptable, and needs improvement. Then we've changed this last go around to meet standards and improvement required. And so with this bill, it would change the nomenclature to an A to F grading system and requires that the commissioner set the criteria for how a district qualifies for those different ratings. The idea was that an A would be comparable to our old exemplary rating, and a B comparable to recognized, and a C would be acceptable. Every rating of a C or better would be considered acceptable. And both districts and individual campuses would be rated, and this, if passed, would take effect in the 2017-2018 school year. So the bill has passed the full Senate. It's now moved over to the House, and it's waiting for assignment to presumably the House Education Committee. In the finance category, we have appropriations bills have been filed by both the House and the Senate. In this session, the House is the one that goes first with its bill. They alternate that from one session to the next. Both chambers are putting additional funding into public education, but they are going at it in very different ways. The House has put an additional $3 billion into public education beyond what's needed to maintain our current formulas for enrollment growth. And that bill passed the full House on Wednesday. It now has passed over to the Senate, and so it will be assigned to the Senate Appropriations Committee. When they get it, all they will do is simply substitute the Senate's version of the budget in place of the House version, and then it goes back to the House ultimately for their consideration. Ultimately, we'll wind up with a conference committee that will work through the differences between the two bills over a period of time. You can see here the Senate version of the budget bill actually adds only about $1.2 billion compared to the $3 billion that public ed, or that the House is adding to public ed. And again, they go at this in rather different ways, as you'll see. There is a school finance bill that has been filed by Representative Aycock, Chairman Aycock, the House Public Education Committee. And that particular bill, there's still not a whole lot known about it. It's still, there's been pretty much a shell has been filed. We do know that it would significantly increase the basic allotment. It's taking that $3 billion and plugging it mostly into the basic allotment, so that helps all school districts. Another thing that they're proposing to do that we know of is that they would eliminate the cost of education index, and that's been a key factor in the formula since the 1980s, and essentially it's an adjustment. You take the basic allotment that is the core of every formula, and you multiply that basic allotment times the cost of education index, which is supposed to represent the differentiated cost in different regions of the state for education, mostly for payroll. And so they are proposing to remove that and take the dollars saved by that and, again, roll it into the basic allotment. We are understanding that there may be a ceiling and a floor on the money you can generate through this bill, and so that typically or essentially amounts to a new hold harmless provision. Again, we haven't seen any of this. We're beginning to hear that about the impact that this may have on the basic allotment, a significant increase in that. But the other components and how this may impact other formulas, the weights that are given to other program areas, that information has not been disclosed yet. It will be coming in the next week or two, we believe. On the Senate side, they are proposing to take these additional dollars that are identified for public education and use that to help give property tax relief to local homeowners. And so Senate Bill 1 is the tax relief bill for the Senate. And what it would do is raise the homestead exemption for homeowners. Right now, that homestead exemption is $15,000, and so it would, if passed, it would raise the exemption to 25% of the median home value across the state. The comptroller's office would set that median home value, and then they would give school districts additional money through the foundation school program to make up for what we lose in tax revenues because we're giving these the higher homestead exemptions. This particular bill would require a constitutional election, a constitutional amendment election in September. And so that's kind of creating some interesting dynamics should it pass. If you think about districts like us that we have a July 1 fiscal year start date, we will already have adopted a budget. July 25th, all the appraisal districts issue certified values. And now then, we all still have to have this constitutional election in September to change the homestead exemption. So it kind of creates some interesting dynamics in this first year should that pass. One thing of concern for school districts in general is that on the side of the tax rate that funds our debt service rate, the additional state aid that you get to provide relief from that higher homestead exemption only applies to debt that exists as of September 1st of this year. It started out being January 1st of this year. They changed it, and now they've moved it up a little bit to September 1. So that's something that has been a concern very generally across school districts. So, future debt would not, they would not hold us harmless basically for that higher homestead exemption. In the pre-K category, there has been a bill filed by Representative Huberty, and it now has been substituted and voted out of committee favorably. This would provide what I would call more of a grant-type funding. It's funding for pre-K, but it's outside the foundation school program or the basic state aid formulas. And so this particular bill would provide funding for 4-year-olds if a district meets the program standards that are outlined in the bill. That money is in addition to what we can earn through the foundation school program. We generate funding for students in pre-K. We get half funding because a pre-K student attends school half day. So the districts have to select and implement a curriculum that includes pre-K guidelines. This does still give districts flexibility in what they choose. It's this broad statement, as long as you have the pre-K guidelines that the state has identified, you can have whatever kind of program you desire. You would also have to develop and implement a parent engagement plan. It does not mandate full day pre-K at this point. And again, that has been voted favorably out of committee. One thing I didn't mention a minute ago when we were looking at those bill counts, one thing that's interesting is the count of bills is dramatically higher than it was last time. But the number of bills that have been voted out of committee right now is down by about 30% compared to the same point last year. I was in a meeting yesterday and there was some discussion about there's this real bottleneck of bills, especially in the House Public Ed Committee, that they're going to have to plow through in the next few weeks if those bills are going to have any opportunity to come to the floor for a vote. So those are just several things that we're watching right now. The Board Governance Committee monitors these activities as well. The district has filed some written testimony on different bills. I believe we have filed testimony on approximately 20 bills that have been heard in committee up to this point. So I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Ms. Powell. And we have a long way to go in this legislative session, and until the end of the session, we are going to add this on every single agenda, just so our board knows to have these discussions and topics. And I think, Ms. Powell, as you mentioned, a bottleneck in the committees is not surprising with all new leadership of chairmen of almost, Chairman Acock's there repeating, but most of the other committees are bundled up, and lots of new committee members even joining his committee. So that's not shocking at all, and lots of new leadership in down the legislature. So I thank you for that. I think we're good for, Dr. Reich?
One of the things that, what's that?
No, I was saying push your button, or I was about to move on.
Oh, sorry. One of the things that we'll be looking at as far as the governance committee is the dynamics between the Senate and the House. Two very different ideologies, and I'm sure that when push comes to shove, there's going to be some deals that are going to be attempted to be brokered to push the two different ideologies forward in some way, shape, or form. So there will likely be opportunity and necessity for us to go down and talk, definitely up our game even further with the letters of support or opposition. So there's a lot of things that I'm very happy to say in our legislative agenda that are being addressed, probably more so on the House side than the Senate side. But it's my hat's off to Ms. Sullins as chair of our committee, and Mr. Barron for your participation, and Ms. Powell for your exuberant enthusiasm without the music and all the pizzazz. I still don't know how you do it with being able to put these presentations together with how fast things are moving legislatively, combined with a $500 million budget to play with. So thank you very much for that. There's going to be a lot coming real soon. Let's just hope that we can get a little bit more of what we're trying to do with our moving things forward for our budget, for our district, for our kids. So if you have any questions at any time, anybody, please let us know, and community as well, same thing.
And I would like to add that I've had a lot of help this session through the communications department. Dr. Wirtz as well, Dr. Barlow have, everybody's very in tune to watching the bills from their respective areas and offering advice and opinion on how we should, what positions we should take.
And I guess I just do want to add that this board, as a function of our efficiency and our level of involvement, I would say that we are probably the most legislatively active board in the state, and that's something we should be proud of. So thank you, everybody, for that.
Thank you, Dr. Reich. And one thing, just to think everyone notes, and Ms. Powell, I don't think you mentioned it. If I did missed it, I apologize. Last in the 83rd session, in the House budget bill, they struck vouchers, and we're not allowed that. That did not make it into one of the amendments for the House budget bill this year. So it's still sitting out there, floating. Senate's going to push it hard. The thought is the House will put something in there, but they have not said outright no, as they did in the last House budget bill in the 83rd. So it's still a piece that everyone keep their eyes out there and open on, because it is funneling dollars away from public ed without accountability, which is the biggest issue on vouchers. So I thank you for that. Thank you for all your work. Thank you to the committee for all the work we're doing, and all the board members for being advocates, and all the public for being advocates. With that, we'll move to the next item, open forum for non-agenda items. This is the second open forum segment of the meeting. Provide citizens with the opportunity to address the trustees on any subject except personnel. This is not intended to be a discussion or a debate, and trustees won't reply to the speakers. Derogatory comments aimed at an individual will not be tolerated. I have one card from Ms. Martinez this evening, and when your name is called, please step to the podium. You'll have 5 minutes to speak. A lighted timer on the podium will assist you in pacing your presentation. A yellow light will illuminate when there is 1 minute left. Ms. Martinez, I know you know all the rules, but I'll finish reading them. To complete your presentation, when the red light comes on, the buzzer sounds, please end your presentation. Speaking tonight is Ms. Kim Martinez discussing the STAR test opt-out. Good evening, Ms. Martinez.
Good evening, President Hogg, members of the board, and Dr. Cavazos. And I know it's late, and I know you're weary, and I know your plans don't include me. Just had to follow up with the fine arts guy, you know. Had to get my little gig in there. But I am speaking to you this evening about, I'm taking off my teacher hat and I have on my parent hat. I'm talking to you about STAR testing. I am very opposed to the STAR test in general because of the stress and the pressure that it puts on our children, on our staff, on our district, on everyone involved in it. But first I wanted to say thank you very much to President Hogg for responding to my email earlier today. I really appreciate that. And I also wanted to thank Dr. Halbrick and Dr. Barlow for taking time to speak with me tonight to try to answer some of my questions. And I do realize that the district is sort of stuck in between a rock and a hard place, between TEA and the state, but this is what happened. I have chosen to opt out my child. Actually, last year I opted out both of my kids. My older one is in high school now, and I don't feel like I know enough about that to opt him out. I don't want to mess up anything for his college plans. But my younger one is in the 4th grade. I opted him out last year. When I did that, I kept him home on one testing day. I sent him to school the other, and they let him go into kindergarten as a helper for the day. He was not put in a testing room. He was not given a test. I know his test was marked S as scored and given a 0, which makes me feel bad for the teacher, for the district, for the school, because I know it affects it. However, this year, when I wanted to opt him out, I sent my letter a week ahead of time to my principal, to his teacher, to the testing coordinator, and to Dr. Cavazos. And at first, I was met with, oh yeah, we'll do whatever we can, we'll make alternate arrangements for him. But apparently the testing office told them, because TEA told them, no, if the child is present at school, they must sit in the testing room, they will be given a test, and it is up to the child to refuse it. That bothers me beyond belief. It is my right as a parent to guide my child's education. It is my decision to opt him out. It is not his. The burden of that choice should not be placed on him. That creates psychological issues. I mean, we don't teach our children to disrespect their teachers and to say no to their teachers. It's not right at all. So my goals tonight really are, number one, I want TEA to show you so then you could show me where in their policy it says that this is what they have to do. I know that officially they do not recognize opting out, but people are doing it. People are refusing the test. It's growing more and more because people are morally opposed to this test. So my goal tonight is to see their policy in writing. No one at TEA has been able to tell me where I can find it, and no one at AISD has been either. And my other problem, or my other objective in meeting with you tonight, is finding out what is going to happen to my child on the next 2 STAR tests. There's still a math and a reading. I would really like him to come to school. I would like him to be provided with some other curriculum to learn. And I think that the state and the district is obligated to educate my son. And I don't really want to take 2 more days off also. So I really want to know if you are going to do that or not. And then if you are, when is the window for the makeup test? I didn't send him to school Monday, Tuesday, and I sent him Wednesday at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. He went to school today. He was not taken to any testing room. He was not given a test. So that's my problem. I also have a challenge for you. I would offer you a challenge that all of you take a STAR test. That could be the 8th grade one. I'll be easy on you. But I would like you to follow all the same guidelines that our children have to follow. 4 hours, being still, being silent, not able to read a book in many cases because the teacher's afraid that it will create kids hurrying up. Not able to speak, having a silent lunch. When you're stressed out, what's the first thing you want to do? When you go to lunch, you want to talk with your friends and they're so worried to talk about the test and find out answers, they won't allow them to speak at the test. When they finish, even if they finish in an hour, they must put their head down. That is all. They get no recess. I think recess is the best way that a child can get the stress out. You need physical exercise to get that stress out. It's
Ms. Martinez,
wrong.
you're 5 minutes up, so
Okay.
finish
Well,
up your comments.
I'm
You're okay.
finishing up. I'm sorry. I think it's wrong, and I would like to see you support parents that make the same decision as me. And I got just an update from Katy ISD. They unanimously passed a resolution by their board to call for the repeal of high-stakes testing. They don't have the authority to do it, but they're doing that as a statement to the state. And I would love to see you guys do the same.
Perfect.
Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much
Ms.
for your
Martinez.
time.
Next, we will move on to Superintendent's report. Dr. C.
Thank you, President Hogg, and I'd like to share some information about the district. First, I'd like to congratulate our communications department as we're recognizing staff for excellence showing at the Texas School Public Relations Association Star Awards and annual celebration. The district won 2 bronze, 7 silver, and 3 gold star awards, as well as the Best in Category award for the 2014 Bond Information, and a Crystal Certificate of Merit for Bond 2014 material. Great job, well deserved, Leslie and staff. Very well done. You have your award there. You can barely see it, but you have it there. We attended the Gollywhopper games at Martin High School on March the 20th. Some of us had a chance to do that, and they had a great time participating in some of that. It's the Martin Network comes together, and they have a math theme, a math event for students in the network. So it's a great building of the network system there, and it was a great time. Next, the Battle of the Books was an event that was held at our PDC for 4th and 5th graders who compete and in a contest where they read books and they compete in answering questions. And I want to thank our librarians for their work on that effort. In the 4th grade, Blanton, Butler, and Wood Elementary all took home a gold medal. Butler also won a gold medal for 5th grade. Beckham, Dunn, Goodman, Hill, Key, and Larson Elementaries won silver medals for 4th grade, while Bryant, Corey, and Key won the silver medal for 5th grade. Again, the kids had a great time. It's a wonderful event of showing their literacy skills, but also their competitive edge. And again, our librarians do a great job putting all of this together for these kids. Last week, the Kiwanis Club of Arlington honored 3 teachers as the Kiwanis Teacher of the Year. And we have so many teachers that were recognized at that event, but the ones that won the Kiwanis Teacher of the Year are Michelle Fratto from Martin High School, Dr. Harrison McCoy from Ferguson Junior High, and Michelle Hosey from Beckham Elementary. And they were all selected for these awards, and they're pictured up there. Barnett Junior High 8th grade teacher Kirsten Fody for being named the ESL Teacher of the Year for bilingual education, as well as another recognition for some of our teachers. But it's a great event. Teachers had a chance to just enjoy the lunch and be recognized from every campus. Last week, we received notification that our comprehensive annual financial report for the fiscal year ending in 2014 earned a Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting by the Government Finance Officers Association. How's that for a lot of words? This is the highest form of recognition in government accounting and finance and financial reporting. We want to congratulate again Tony Drollinger, Cindy Powell, and the staff that worked on this CAFR report. That's I guess the acronym there. And if President Hogg will help me present the award to Mr. Drollinger down there. We will do that now.
I'm awake, I'm just a little stiff. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Congratulations on the CAFR.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I would just like to say a couple of things while they're making their way back up there. You know, AISD finance is not flashy, but we still know how to bring home the gold. Okay? But just to put that in a frame of reference, you can see who all stayed for this. This room was full earlier. So anyway, this really is not my award. I've said this before. I say this every time. It's the dedication of the people in the finance department. That's how come we get this, and I would be remiss if I did not recognize them. So they're very dedicated to what they do. They're very proud of the work they do, and this is the fruits of their labor. So thank you.
Thank you, Tony. And finally, on Monday night, we had a wonderful celebration, and we can't say this enough, of some of our former colleagues that facilities were named after. And you see their pictures and their names there. I think collectively, I want to thank the board for setting a new standard, for recognizing the legacy of some of our colleagues and our employees. This was a tremendous event, set a new standard, and it's a tremendous way to honor their work and inspire the work of the employees we have today and our citizens that contribute to our schools. So I want to thank the board for that. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. C. Next, we'll move on to school board reports. Ms. Pena.
Boy, he's moving on fast. Moving on down. Okay, we'll keep going. Very, 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 very busy since the last meeting. I attended the Crouch Elementary Reading Rocks, and I had the opportunity to read to kids. I also visited Morton Elementary. The students there had presented the board, each board member for the Board Appreciation Month, their artwork, and I have traditionally asked my artist to sign the artwork, but she was not present. The day that we received them, the art teacher presented it to me, so I made a special trip to Morton Elementary to have the artist sign my artwork, and she was so shy. I could hardly get her to talk, but I finally got her to smile, and so the trip was well worth it. I also attended the Martin Network Gollywhopper. I was not one of the people who did the jump rope event, but it was a lot of fun to watch those kids. They were so excited, and they didn't want to talk. They just wanted to play. Those math games were challenging, but they enjoyed them. Nichols Junior High, I went there. Each one of the board members is assigned a student from our SLAB, our Student Leadership Advisory Board, and my student, Grace K., I'm not going to say her name because we're not supposed to, she was at Nichols Junior High doing class presentations to the career and tech classes, and she did a wonderful job. The first class, she got to experience what teachers experience. First thing in the morning, the first class didn't hardly ask any questions and kind of just looked at her. Second class was all wound up and asked so many questions. It was exciting to be in that classroom with her. She did a great job. Also attended the Kiwanis Teacher of the Year banquet and recognition. And in addition to those wonderful teachers that received the Premier Award, my daughter's fifth grade teacher, Judy Johnson from Little Elementary, received an award, and so I was happy to see that she got recognized. The board construction team for the Fine Arts and Dual Language Academies obviously met because the result was presented tonight, and so that was a long afternoon of reviewing things, but very, very beneficial, I think, in what we did. Also went to Lamar High School with my Student Leadership Advisory Board assignee and attended an AP Physics class. They did a pop quiz, and I was glad I didn't have to take it because that looked like gibberish to me on that sheet. AP Calculus, and then I finally felt at ease in the AP History class. So I had the opportunity to sit with my student and learn and ask questions, and the teachers were wonderful because they explained a lot of things that were going on, and specifically in the physics class, the challenge that the students had to get things from their home. They could only purchase the batteries and the little bulb in order to make a flashlight, and they could use things such as the toilet paper roll as the handle to hold. It was awesome, and they could be creative and make something round that would be a flashlight. So she gave them some ideas how they could do that using their physics knowledge. Also attended Thursday night. There was an event that we all had to go to. Well, no, not all of us. There were 3 of us that we went to, and it was late at night, and I had to get to Austin to represent the school board at TASB, the Texas Association of School Board Meetings, because we had our quarterly meeting. So I attended that I got to that meeting late that night. Thank goodness my husband slept during the day so he could drive during the night. And of course, that was the Salado accident, so we had to go a roundabout way. Couldn't see where we were going as far as enjoying the drive, but it was nice. And I attended the Board of Directors meeting there, and I'm on the Legislative Committee for TASB. And what I do with that information is ensure that this board is kept informed with what we gather. Then I also went to Workman Junior High and did a tour of the building. That is one of the construction projects that I'm on the committee for, and some of the teachers invited me over to come and look at what was going on in the building, and I enjoyed that tour as well and learned a whole lot of what was going on as far as the structure of the building. I attended the PTA Founders Day banquet along with some other board members, and quickly from there headed over to the Rotarians Tarrant County College High School recognition of the students from each one of our clusters. So it's been a very, very busy time for me. I'm a little bit tired, but I'm ready to go again. And that's my report.
Thank you, Ms. Pena. Mr. Byrne.
I guess it's a busy time of year. I too got to go to the Gully Whopper games at Martin. Saw the children doing their math problems. That was pretty interesting. They were very excited. I read at Crouch for the Crouch Crocs Rocks reading day, and they do it probably the best of all the schools. It's hard to beat the police officers that go there, though, and you know they're all in their uniforms with their guns and everything. So it was good. I read the Bad Kitty, and it was a really bad kitty. I'm on the subcommittee that looked at the CTE construction plans, the Fine Arts dual language construction plans, and we did that this week. At the Kiwanis Teacher of the Year, I want to note that along with being severely patted on the back, those teachers got a cash award from Kiwanis, and that's always good for a classroom teacher. I attended the Texas Fellows Annual Retreat in Houston from the Center for Reform of School Systems to represent the board down there, along with Ms. Mays. And, naming of the buildings, that was so great. I got a letter today from Diane Patrick. It was the nicest letter of thank you, and she said that was probably the happiest day of her life right there. I got to have lunch with the Instructional Technology Department folks as they were saying farewell to a good friend of mine. Great bunch of people you got there, Mr. Brandon. And, let's see. Rotary at Tarrant County College Southeast, the award ceremony, that's always fun every year because the principals get to pick 10 students that they want to have patted on the back. And it's interesting how they pick those students, but they speak very kindly of each of the students, and it's a great night for the kids and their parents. And finally, today was State of the County. We ran out of here after PTA and went to State of the County. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Ms. Mays.
Thank you. I had the opportunity to have my student leader advisory board student at Bowie High School. I got to shadow her for a day. She also had an opportunity to have me run around the high school with her to turn in her homework because the previous day she had been at Barnett High School talking to those students. So quite busy. We made it on time. I did not lag her behind, so everything was turned in on time. But it was really an enjoyable experience. I got to sit in her English 3 class and her pre-cal class, so very interesting. Also was able to attend Kiwanis Teacher of the Year. In addition to the top winners, as was said, they did recognize by surprise some additional teachers, and I would like to just send a shout out to Susan Schwartz at Bowie High School, who was one of those. And I've had an opportunity to work with her on several things, and she's so very passionate about the students, about encouraging them to continue with IB and AP classes. So just shouts out to one of very many special teachers that we have here in the district. I also was able to attend the annual Texas Fellows with Peter in Houston, where we learned how to be better board members. in addition to being able to collaborate with other board members from all around Texas, which is always very interesting to hear perspectives and ways that they handle business compared to what you're doing in your district, and just to be able to collaborate and try to pull pieces from everyone. Founders Day. I was able to attend the Founders Day for PTA, which I always enjoy because you have an opportunity to say thank you to those people that are volunteering so much, not being paid, teachers doing extra additional things, parents. So it's always nice to be able to take the time to pat someone on the back for doing a good job. Attended a Futures Financial Committee. Once again, very grateful for all of those committee members for taking their time out to review information, ask questions, and just to be away from home. Did attend the State of the County Luncheon today. Once again, that's very nice to attend because you get to see the other organizations and community within Arlington that you're partnering with to do things, and it's just nice to get a chance to chat. Also attended our audit subcommittee meeting and the facility naming, which was really, really nice. And as I was describing it to my husband, he made a comment of, isn't that nice to be able to do something that really brings the community together? And I thought, what a great point. So I'm hoping in the future that we can all kind of collaborate and think of something else to do that really brings the community together, because that was so special to see. And I'd also like to just take half a second to say happy birthday, Lisa. Thank you very much for everything that you do for us. Thank you. And that's my report.
What a way to spend your birthday, Miss Benjamin. I mean, I know. Dr. Cavazos said you can have tomorrow off. Just for your birthday. Whole district actually gets tomorrow off because of your birthday, so that's generous. Dr. Rush.
I won't go into listing all of the things. I'll just say I did pretty much all the same things that they said. Busy, day in the life, over and over and over. It's pretty cool. I did want to make a comment to the group, a special thank you to our trustees that did make it down to the TMEA competition, or recognition, thank you. It's a little late. I had been contacted by several people in our community after that. They made a special point to reach out to me to say that at that event, it was duly noted by multiple districts around that area that board members were there, and nobody else had board members there. It was a very unique thing that stood out. Once again, thank you for doing that. It means a lot, and it's noticed, the level of commitment. Other than that, I say happy Good Friday. Have a wonderful, glorious Easter, everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Reich, and I'll do one last piece. I don't normally talk about things I've been to, but something that just kind of came out. A professor, y'all remember our STEM group from UTA that presented to us, Dr. Ashley Pergison, that presented. Well, a professor at UTA got a large grant for $458,000 to study the Rocky Mountains. So it talks about she's going to the Rocky Mountains, she's doing all this research on geology and all these different pieces. But the biggest piece that they talk about is one of the things they're doing is helping this professor coordinate a geology camp. It'll be high school students will be chosen this fall, most likely from the Arlington Independent School District. She said regardless of what students decide to pursue as their careers, they hope to enhance the students' appreciation for science, especially in the STEM fields. We're particularly short on minority students, more in the case of geology. I think one of the reasons is people just don't know this field of science very well because they chose a major. So because of our partnership with UTA, you can see what they're automatically doing. Ashley Pergison is getting into those science departments is critical. And so it's just another little traction we're getting beyond creating the science dual credit and the Academy for Science and Technology. When they're getting grants, they're using those monies to train students and get our students. So that's a fresh article that's out in the Shorthorn paper about the Arlington ISD, but just in their little piece, I think that's important to bring up. Last word, Ms. Pena.
I just wanted to make sure, you know, we do appreciate Lisa, and we really want to acknowledge that it's her birthday today, and we are thankful she's here. But last week we had a special birthday as well, and it was Dr. Cavazos. So happy birthday, Dr. Cavazos, from us. You know, I
thought she was going to say it was my daughter's 8-month birthday, but we'll take yours.
Oh, is it your daughter's 8-month birthday?
My wife counts months, which is crazy.
Hey, no, moms do that
I know,
when they're that little. So happy birthday to you as well from the entire board.
Perfect. Thank you, Ms. Pena. Thank you for bringing that up. And that is it. Mr. Secretary, do we have any items to address, follow up tonight?
Mr. Hibbs had requested that we have included on our calendar now board updates with fine arts and athletics. So
Yes,
if you and
good
Dr. Cavazos can work on
We will.
when that gets in the schedule, that's all.
We'll work on that with Mr. Rosie and get that on the calendar in our next meeting. With that, at 11:09, we are not going into closed session. We are adjourned.